lens. Let's see.
Okay.
I don't wanna
What
look
is going on, guys?
Yeah, I don't want to look ugly.
Yeah, no, I gotta. Oh God, I gotta do my makeup thing too. Okay, good.
I gotta
good.
look. I
It's like
gotta.
how
I gotta look pretty for people.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta look pretty. All right, what's going on, guys? This is Question About the Magic. This is another in-person interview, like last time with Trevor. Anthony will not be here for this one as well.
Sad.
Yeah, sad and all that. But Anthony, you're welcome to watch, and he said he'll promote it too because he's a true friend. You
Good
know?
man.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah. Today, this guy who I have right over here is my guest, Cameron Polidore. And we're in Oswego and all that stuff together.
Yeah.
And you are actually a music major and a drummer.
Yes, I'm a music major. I just added another major.
Okay, what's your major?
I just added cinema.
Oh
screen
yeah,
studies
cool.
major.
Oh nice.
I mean, it's probably gonna be. I mean, I get like no sleep, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but
yeah,
why not?
Yeah. What have you noticed since you've done it? The major, like once you sign up, like do you notice anything different about yourself?
I noticed that I'm insane for taking it on because I'm already terrible at time management.
Well, we have in the thumbnail it's Cam the Insane, so yeah.
I got problems.
We're gonna try to build up to that, because this guy. We're gonna show you his level of humor and all that stuff.
Oh, it's stuff. But I've been playing drums since I want to say. Well, I've been actually like playing like in like bands and stuff, like
so like more like school bands and all that stuff.
Yes, that's been like 5 years, like since 2016.
Nice.
Before that, the way I got into drums is it's like dumb. I just like played rock band.
No, it's not dumb at all.
Yeah, but like in 6th grade, I started playing rock band, and I was like, it's fun. It's something to pass the time. You're in 6th grade. None of the
You're like 6th grade, not 6th grade.
I have a list for something. I don't know. I'm speech
I didn't know you had that. I didn't know you had that. You don't seem like that, but that's okay. I'm like, I don't want to make fun of that one. So I was like, well, like I've seen you. You sound pretty articulate.
Usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I got homework's stupid. It doesn't matter then. So you just play video games. So I started doing the guitar and singing a little bit. Not when people are around because I don't want them to think I'm into that stuff.
Oh, so you do play guitar though?
Rock band.
Oh, rock band.
Dude, give me a guitar, I can play some great power chords.
That's cool.
That's all.
So like, are you like kind of like trained or did you teach yourself kind of?
At first, it was teaching myself a little bit of rhythm and pulse.
Okay.
Literally by playing rock band. I swear that getting good at rock band drums. Just like in learning how to do songs.
Right.
Like on medium, hard, and then expert.
Yeah.
Like that is quite literally how I learned pulse and to keep a steady pace.
Right.
I started taking lessons 2016 that summer. And so 5 years to lessons privately.
Interesting.
And I'm taking lessons here for class credit, basically.
Right.
With 2 different instructors. One who focuses on set-oriented stuff, more jazz-oriented stuff.
Oh, God, this is Anthony.
Oh, is this
hey, what's up? It's the co-host. Yeah, he fired me, so now he has
fucking asshole.
I didn't fire you. He's kidding. He's not there for the moment because you live in the island. We agreed to that. You actually said, Anthony, that you wanted to do that because you were busy with your organization.
You're a class traitor, is what you are.
Yeah. Wow, I'm a class traitor because what? Because he lives on the island upstate. If we did this virtually, he would be there. But because it's easier that we're in person, and you've been having issues with your tech, Anthony. Don't lie to me about that. You said you're even getting a new laptop.
This is no longer an interview. This is just
okay. You know what? Actually, why don't we go into the interview because we actually literally had a fight in front of our guests and stuff like that. Yeah, it was so ugly.
That'd be great for me.
It was the most ugliest.
I'd love that.
We never had a fight before until that. It was the greatest. We got people involved. We got more people like the drama. We were ripping at each other.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, right?
I'd pay an arm and a leg for that.
Yeah.
An actual arm and a leg.
Honestly, I think if he was on, you guys would have a good time. I think all that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure we would.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I love people.
Yeah.
I don't actually.
Nah, who loves people? How can you love people?
Fucking hate people.
It's like when somebody said
Disgusting.
it's like what Jerry Seinfeld said. It's like you like him, he's a great guy. It goes like saying like, why does everybody say that? I hate everybody. Yeah.
Oh, Jerry.
Yeah.
That
But what is like as a musician, like what does music mean to you?
What is it? It's well, it's definitely. I mean, I'm a. This is. I don't want to get too. I don't want to get too heavy. You know.
All right. Yeah. Sure.
But I'm a bit of a. I try to be good to people, and I'm a bit of a pessimist. You know,
Okay.
just a little bit. And sometimes shit is just like. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, fuck. What is this shit? And this shit being like the world,
Right.
And you're like, God, that's awful. But then music, and art in general, it's there. It's a raft, you know. It definitely, it's a motivator. It's good for my mental health. It's good for I think music is. It's definitely a fun outlet, but it's also good for me as a thinker. Just engaging with music has helped me become a better like abstract thinker.
Interesting.
And it's great. It's also the way I've met a lot of my closest friends. Like I have a friend back home. His name's Mike, and we do. Like I've known him for a long time. We do music together. That was like our thing. I was like, I play drums, and he was like, I play everything, and I was like, oh, he's great. He's multi-instrumentalist.
Wow, that's cool.
And so it's most of my personality.
So do you guys got like a duo going on, like a Hall & Oates, Donald Fagen, and Walter Becker kind of thing?
It's a bit, yeah. Well, it's a bit. He does have a band camp.
Okay.
Wisdom Teeth.
Okay.
I think if you go into Wisdom Teeth or go into Bandcamp and type in Wisdom Teeth, Albany, New York, because I'm sure there's others. Wisdom Teeth, Albany, New York. You can find his stuff. He's a very good writer. He's inspired by a lot of like experimental and like atmospheric stuff. So that's kind of it's music is. It's life.
Yeah, of course. No, that's kind of how I feel. Music is my life, and even though I'm not that much of a musician, I lately have been dedicating a lot of time to doing stuff on my channel. I mean, I'm even in the organization Digital Music Association at Oswego and all that stuff. It's just something I love more, and I'm like, like when I was in high school, I wanted to be more of a filmmaker and all that stuff. Yet I still love music more than film. Even that's the thing. I probably get more into media. Yet I think music is more important to me than that.
I don't know which one I like more.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a big film buff.
That's why I'm double. That's why I'm doing the double major.
Yeah. I mean, but musicians do really great films and stuff. I remember like John Lennon talking about how much he loved film. He thought it was a great way that is even better in some ways of telling a story than music.
Yeah. Well, with film you have a lot of just a lot of the artistic elements coming together to form a cohesive whole. You have obviously there's a musical element to. Not every film has a score, but there's usually some kind of musical component. Yeah. Whether it be score or needle drops, you have production design, you have costume design, you have the performance aspect, you have the image aspect, you have the art directors and the cinematographer who are working on the color and the look of the film. You have sound. It's a very all-encompassing art form.
And I feel like songs and music are just as important as books and stuff like that, and literature, and all that stuff too. And I think what's cool is how music and film get are connected. And I remember there was a story. I don't know if you're a Pink Floyd fan by any chance.
I appreciate them. I haven't really gotten that deep into them.
Yeah, I'm not that big of a fan either, but I saw a video about them where it was a Dark Side of the Moon that fans because real some fans, and when it comes to people like Led Zeppelin, Beatles, and Pink Floyd, fans dig into their stuff and try to find different meanings.
Yeah, because they're nuts.
Well, yeah. Well, it's of course the Paul is dead thing, but the one, but with the Pink Floyd with Dark Side of the Moon, somebody said that it was it's in the same time length as Wizard of Oz, and every song has the same, like, if you play the album and watch Wizard of Oz at the same time, it makes sense. But that's not really true though, because everybody thought, oh, Pink Floyd, like Wizard of Oz, like Wizard of Oz inspired Dark Side of the Moon, which was not true at all.
You know why it doesn't make sense, and you know why they got that wrong.
Why? Oh yeah. Well, no, it's people with like too much time on their hands. You know, it's like the whole conspiracy theory.
Too much time on their hands. Brains are half burnt.
Yeah. It's funny though, like the Paul is
fucking weed.
The Paul is Dead show didn't because there was somebody who did a radio show about like for 3 hours, and somebody said that it was actually convincing at times. And my dad said that too. He was like, "Oh no, it was like very like they had clues that they were going like right into it because they were going into stuff like, for instance, like in Sgt. Pepper with Billy Shears, they were trying to say that like they were thinking, oh, Billy Shears is the actor who plays Paul now." This
is just like nonsense.
Yeah, I know. It is nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And like there was a YouTube video somebody tried to do of like Paul McCartney actually, being around and all like that, like the real Paul McCartney. It's like, oh my god. If there was the real Paul McCartney, like wouldn't he be dead then? That's what makes no sense,
Yeah, I think it's pretty believable that there is an actual Paul McCartney who is just the one guy.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any actors playing. You can watch videos of him performing. With Kanye.
Yeah.
Remember when he made a song with Kanye?
Oh god, yeah, and Rihanna. Well, there was like it's funny because
it was fine.
Somebody said my English teacher said that like Kanye didn't know who Paul McCartney was. She got that wrong. It was fans who didn't know who Paul McCartney was because there was these people saying, "Who's Paul McCartney?" And then
what's a Beatle?
Yeah, well, somebody said it's nice that he supported new artists, and like some people are wondering if that's more of like a joke and all that stuff, or some people are really like dead on serious, like because there was a lot of people being like that. Maybe I'm gonna guess, thinking of it now, that it was somebody making a joke and everybody just followed onto it, and thought it was funny. Because I'm like, it just seems too weird because it's like, well, always I thought as a kid. I mean, maybe you don't know like the names of the people, well, like the last names of the members of the Beatles, but you probably know who the Beatles are, like John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Whatever. Like as a kid, like they always say, like John, Paul, George, Ringo. Well, that reminds me.
Ringo's the one who makes the fucking MS Paint shit, right?
Oh yeah. And he does the peace one. The peace signs all the time. Yeah, he does like peace. Yeah, he was just on Kimmel.
I'd buy it.
He's in good shape for 81.
Okay, which of the Beatles are
alive?
Are alive.
Okay, so Paul McCartney is alive and Ringo is alive. John and George are dead.
John got shot.
Well, John got shot 40 years ago. George Harrison in November it'll be 20 years since he's been dead.
Damn.
Yeah. Because he was sick for a long time, so they knew that he was gonna probably die soon. But because he was sick for about 3 years with because the thing too was like he had cancer, like lung cancer, and I think what actually they said like kind of shortened his life a little bit more was because a few years earlier, like in 1999, he got stabbed actually. Like there was a guy who broke into their house, and like his son was saying it's like he died because of cancer, but getting stabbed probably didn't help. Like for a man who was fighting cancer.
A lot of great musicians have died in strange.
Yeah.
Didn't Marvin Gaye get shot by his dad?
Yeah. There was apparently I don't know if he was living with his father at the time or something like that, but he was getting into a fight with his father, and his mother was in the same room, and his mother was hearing the whole thing. Like his mother had to witness her husband shooting her son. I mean, that's just like, damn, that's just like, oh my god,
Yeah, that Jeff Buckley, he drowned in a quarry, I think.
Yeah.
Right? He went swimming and he just got sucked.
It's funny. There's this group I listened to, Little Feat. They were in the 70s and all that stuff. And they had a guy who played with them named Roy Estrada. Then he was replaced later on. But apparently now he's in jail. And he'll be in jail till he's 93. Because apparently he he raped the minor. Or it was like, yeah.
Well, that's not good.
That's not good. No, that's not good at all. And he confessed it too in 2012. He's like, I did it, and then it's like he'll be out in like 2000. I think they said like 2000. 30 or something, and they said he'll be 93 like when that happens.
At least he's not a hypocrite.
Yeah, just that, like, you know, it's
guess.
like,
Jesus.
well, what's also crazy too is Jim Gordon from Derek and the Dominoes was a nut because he ended up, I think, shooting his mother and then getting into jail.
It's not funny. I don't know why.
No, it's not. No, I think it was he was schizophrenic. I think, and then I think he ended up killing his mother.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's so weird, man. It's like you're listening to the music and the drummer. It's like, oh, the drummer killed somebody. It's like, yeah.
Maybe that's what happens when you just start making music all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe I should change my major.
I don't know.
I'm a business major.
Maybe no. Business is boring.
Yeah. You said that with like a southern drawl.
Oh, really? Business is boring.
Business is
boring. No, but
that's how I talk.
Well, it is actually interesting how musicians actually did have like jobs you would not think before. Okay, well, this one, there's a few musicians that were actually teachers, and one I think you'll be kind of shocked.
I probably will be.
So Sting was the teacher one.
Sting.
Yeah, from the Police. The lead singer.
I know.
Yeah, because his name is Gordon Sumner, and he was an English teacher. Okay, and then another one that was a teacher, I think, was I forget. Well, okay, I know that I heard Mark Knopfler from a friend. A friend told me that Mark Knopfler was a teacher. I know he was a journalist. For one point, and then he went into music. I don't know. He might have been a teacher, but this one might shock you. Gene Simmons from Kiss was a teacher.
What the fuck did he teach?
Well, the funniest thing was that like the story was that like okay, so he was a teacher, but like he barely he didn't teach them anything. Like what he did was I think on the free. Oh no, what it was he was supposed to teach them science, but instead he read them comic books instead because he thought kids would understand that better and like get more of an education out of that. I mean, that sounds like something like Gene Simmons would do if he was a teacher.
Yeah. Oh my god. How do you feel about Kiss?
I'm not a fan of that.
I don't like
Kiss.
My drum instructor from back home.
Yeah.
My God, loves Kiss.
Really?
He has. I'm trying to think. He had a Kiss lamp. With the base of the lamp was a Kiss, and then the actual lamp shade.
Have really one hit though.
I don't know.
Or 2 hits.
I don't know who gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And then the lamp shade was Kiss. He had a Kiss poster.
Oh my God.
He had a Kiss lunchbox. He had several of their records on display. He had vinyls. He had CDs. He would wear frequently. He would wear memorabilia, T-shirts.
Yeah.
It was concerning. God. Did you know Sting was an actor briefly?
Oh yeah. He was in some films in the 80s. With Meryl Streep one.
Yeah, and he was also in David Lynch's Dune.
Oh, okay.
Which was a massive flop.
Yeah,
and no one likes it.
Yeah, I don't think he got. I don't know. Was the one that he did with Meryl Streep a big film? Probably not, right? Because I don't remember hearing anything.
I mean,
I could be wrong.
I mean, if I don't know about it, no one probably gives a fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess because you seem more more of a film made buff than I am.
It also might just be personal taste because I just.
Yeah. Well, he was in a film during the time of the Police, and the Police did some songs for the soundtrack, and he did some stuff solo for it, which was, I think, Brimstone and Treacle or something like that. It was this British film or something like that. And he sings at the end, like, an old standard song called Spread a Little Happiness. Or Spread a Little Joy.
I gotta add this to my watch list.
Yeah, I gotta actually see it because it actually kind of looks interesting. Like, I mean, I don't know. It does seem like it's a little like corny and outdated, but it kind of seems like considering it's Sting in it, and it kind of like I like that feel of that, like some of how English films were actually portrayed or something like that, like at that time, because it's like there's such a different quality because they don't use music that much. Yet it sometimes works with them not having like music. Like there's like a lot of more dead silence. And it kind of makes it more spookier and more like kind of like eerie, and it makes you still enjoy it, you know.
Oh yeah, I think there's a few instances where I think overuse of music in a film can kind of take away from dramatic moments, especially like I don't know a lot of modern movies, especially the stuff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It relies too much on just having like there's always a score and like there's always has to be something happening, and it's like what about like moments of quiet, you know?
Well, now here's an interesting thing, is that the director of Return of the Jedi for Star Wars, Richard Marquand, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I think he also did with Jagged Edges, like with Glenn Close and Jeff Bridges. or I think I'm saying the name of it wrong. The one about the court or something like that. Robert Loggia is in that too.
I don't fucking know this movie.
No, but anyway, Richard Marquand, who did Return of the Jedi, he actually did a biopic of the Beatles in the 70s. It was like a TV film. It came out in 79. So John Lennon was like, I think this might be like one of the only Beatles biopic that John Lennon was alive for, because they made a few on TV and all that stuff. My dad never liked them because he thought they were so exploitative and all that stuff. Well, the one like the John and Yoko one was like definitely a little bit more exploitative, but like the Birth of the Beatles was more of just showing like their comedy and like showing, because the Beatles had like a mix of like Marx Brother humor with their music, and even that's just how their sense of humor was.
I can see you in a kitchen right now, bending over a hot stove, but I can't see the stove.
Well, see, the funniest thing though is that like the Birth of the Beatles movie is not exploitive at all. It's just showing like guys with sense of humor trying to make it as musicians, struggling, going to Germany and all that stuff. I mean, I think there are some stuff that were wrong with like the air, like I think like of the when they went to Germany, because in 1961 they actually went into Germany in 1960. And so it's the 60. Yeah, this year also marks the so the 61st anniversary since the Beatles have been together and all that stuff. So the Beatles have been together for over 60 years, like when they started. Now they're, of course, unfortunately gone.
Man, I wonder if you like the Beatles.
I know, right? Well, let's get into this guy. We started like talking about this, but like, what was your musical influences like growing up that got you even more into like music?
They got me into just like listening to it more and playing.
Yeah.
Well, before 6th grade, I had like no independence of thought. Basically, like I did not know that I could listen to my own music, and I did not know any music other than what my dad would play on the radio, which was usually a classic rock station.
Okay.
It was called Pix 106.
Okay.
And like, what do you hear there? You hear like Blue Oyster Cult, you hear Eagles, you hear Def Leppard, and that kind of stuff. Or I listened to what like my mom played on the radio, which is just I don't know, just bullshit. Bullshit stuff. It was just
I was more like, so are you saying
it was
it's
just
like
pop radio?
Are you saying it's like you dig your dad's choices more than your mom's?
Often. Well, by a little margin.
That's sort of like with me. If my mom's watching, I mean, like there's some stuff that I love that my mom loves, but like it was more of like my dad's music, for instance, because like my mom, growing up, we had to listen to like James Taylor and all that stuff, and I wasn't a fan of James Taylor as a kid. Like, I mean, I liked some of his stuff, but now as I grow older, I like his stuff and all that stuff, and I listen to. I haven't listened to like a lot of his albums, but I love like songs like Fire and Rain and like other stuff. Like I listened to Fire and Rain like recently and stuff like that, because it like he's an interesting like musician, and considering that he was like the first musician that was signed for the Beatles label too, and Apple Records. I mean, that's an interesting thing too, because it was all the way in England. And the guys, I think he was from New York, I think, because or like Jersey or something like that, because I know he's from the U.S. But it's an interesting story with him,
Yeah. So before 6th grade, I'm an idiot with no brain. But then in 6th grade, I can't say that word, can I? Sixth. There's this band, and everyone knows this band, My Chemical Romance.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
I had known about them beforehand because me and my sister, my mom, we used to play SingStar on the PS2. Just a little family thing.
Okay.
Helena by My Chemical Romance was one of the songs, and I would sing that one a lot, just like when I was like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then we stopped playing SingStar, and I forgot about them. And then 6th grade, that song popped up just like YouTube suggestions.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember this song. So I decided to listen to it, and I was like, I forgot how great this song was. And then I just started binging all of their music videos that day, and basically everything I listened to during 6th grade was My Chemical Romance related.
Right.
And that was really when I started to start. That was when I started listening to my own stuff and like seeking my own music. And at that point, for a while, like from about 6th to like the latter half of 7th grade, my means of listening to music was Pandora. Like I would use my mom's phone because I didn't have my own iPod or anything.
Yeah,
And I would go on a Pandora radio station, and I would do like my chem radio and the stuff that I would listen to at the time.
Yeah.
Which a lot I don't listen to a lot of this anymore. I still listen to my chem. I think they're great songwriters. But it would be like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, which is they're gross, terrible. 3 Days Grace, bad. Fall Out Boy. I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck about Fall Out Boy anymore. So a lot of like edgelord emo stuff.
Yeah.
In like 6th and 7th grade, a lot of new metal. 8th grade, I started to branch off into more atmospheric stuff. I got really into Deftones, which they're still one of the only few new metal bands, NU, that I actually I like them still because they have very like their music is very like kind of heady and ethereal, and they use a lot of atmospherics in their production. And they can be really heavy too, and I love heavy stuff. Love heavy stuff. And then high school, I basically I branched off and I started to listen to trying to get into as much as I can, a little bit of everything. And the stuff that influences me and that speaks to me most nowadays, like in recent years and months, Radiohead.
Oh yeah.
They might be my favorite band. I don't know. I haven't thought of that. I haven't really made that decision.
That's one group I gotta get into, Radiohead.
Oh, they're terrific, especially anything they did like after like 95 is just fucking like masterful. And I love a lot of I love electronic music, not like EDM. Not like Skrillex,
right.
But more like Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin, One of Tricks Point Never, which are more like I hate the phrase IDM because that it stands for intelligent dance music, and I think that's just very condescending. But it's like more minimalist, kind of not like dance driven. It's very like thoughtful. Scott Walker is also someone I love, who is basically a guy who was around for a very long time. He was around like in the 50s, making like teen pop music, and then in the 60s he was doing his baroque pop thing.
Scott Walker,
and then in the he made some stuff in the 70s and 80s. It was kind of hit or miss, but then in the 90s. He basically went off the rails, and for the rest of his career just made some of the weirdest, most whacked out shit I've ever heard in my life.
What was the stuff he made in the 90s?
Oh, it's hard to pin down. He just started experimenting with more atonal stuff, weird abstract lyrics writing. He like there were still like orchestral components to his music still, but he did a lot of like odd rhythms.
So he seems like kind of like a Phil Spector type of guy. Maybe without
no.
Okay. Well, I mean, as long as he didn't murder anybody, because Phil Spector murdered somebody.
As far as I'm aware, Scott Walker was a good guy.
Yeah,
but he
seems like he's got the sunglasses, and he seems like, from what you told me, just a little bit of a strange guy. Just as in, like, the creative process too.
Yeah, he like one of his songs from his late period. I like to call it his elderly period.
Yeah,
because he was an old man making terrifying music.
So he was born in 43, so he did it in 58 and all that stuff. So he'd be like a teenager, I guess, when he started, I guess. So
yeah, and then the stuff he made when he was an old man is horrifying. He made a song about like Elvis Presley's like he had like a stillborn twin, I think.
Oh, really?
Or
yeah, Jesse.
Yeah. He made a song about.
Oh,
it's like
God. That sounds so bad.
Made a song about that. He has my brain is fried right now, so I can't really remember a lot of. There's this he has one song from his album Tilt, and it's the opening song. It's called Farmer in the City. There's a director, Pier Paolo Pasolini.
Yeah.
He was an Italian director. He was very like anti-fascist, super leftist leaning, and he made his most famous movie, most well known in film circles, is Salo, or the 120 Days of Sodom. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
It is basically about this. I haven't seen it yet. I plan on doing it at some point. I'm just not quite ready for it.
Right.
It's about this group of Italian fascists, and like it's like nearing the end of like the fascist era.
Okay.
And it's like they want one last hurrah, and so they apprehend 9 boys and 9 girls and subject them to 4 months, 120 days of just horrible like physical and mental and like sexual torture.
Wow.
And that is the movie. And Pier Paolo Pasolini is the guy who directed it. But another thing, so I thought you should know that's a movie that exists.
Yeah.
But
well, I guess I'm glad I know.
But he was also he was killed.
Okay.
I don't know. He was like, I don't remember exactly why he was killed, but it was a deliberate act. He was like, ran over, and the song "Farmer in the City" is like a very beautiful tribute to him and his life.
So that's what Scott Walker did,
and his sexuality, because he was a gay man too. And
not Scott Walker. I mean the guy who died,
Pier Paolo Pasolini, and Scott Walker made a song about it.
Oh,
and that's just to say that a majority of his lyric writing in the latter half of his career was very grim. He dealt with subject matter. He dealt a lot with like just death.
Wow.
Absurd stuff.
Well, I think that's sort of like, I don't know.
Speaks to me.
Is that sort of like kind of Leonard Cohen in a sense? Like, 'cause I didn't know who he was really until he died, and my dad told me that was the one who wrote the song Hallelujah, and like he wrote that more in the '80s, in the end of his career, because he was, I think when he died, I think he was like 80. I think he might have not been 80 yet or something like that. Yeah, and he was like 82 or something like that. Yeah. And he did stuff. I think he was praised for more of his later stuff. I think. Don't quote me on that. I mean, well, I know Hallelujah came out in the '80s, he, I think it was like in the '60s and '70s. I think he was like considered like, singer songwriter era and all that stuff. I think he did have some stuff on the radio. Like, I don't know that much about him, but I know that he was considered like one of the greatest songwriters out there.
I mean, if I'm to compare the Scott Walker sound to the Leonard Cohen sound, it's. I mean, they're both great lyric writers, but Scott, I don't think you.
Oh, you know who Leonard Cohen is?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I don't think you. Have you not heard Scott Walker stuff?
No, I have not. I gotta hear Scott Walker.
I think you probably don't understand how fucking insane a lot of it. And I just play you like 5 seconds of a Scott Walker song.
God,
just because I want.
Wait, no, let's not do it on YouTube just because of copyright thing. Unfortunately, that's
he's dead though. Who gives a shit?
He died. I don't know.
He died like 2 years ago. No one gives a fuck.
His family could still own the royalties.
His family doesn't care.
I don't know.
He died.
Show it to me after them, and then I can put it in the link or something.
I'll show it to you after.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's dead now.
He's dead.
He had a terminal illness.
You sound like somebody from a show I watch. It's like, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
And then you keep saying it. You do realize he's dead.
Yeah, he made a lot.
But he's dead now.
He died.
But he died. So
he can't make music anymore.
That's the same with Phil Spector. He can't make. I was so looking forward to after he got out of jail.
Did he kill a guy?
Yeah, I know.
Killed a guy, right?
No, he killed a girl.
Killed a girl.
It was a girlfriend or something like that. And yeah,
worse.
Allegedly, it was allegedly. Yeah, I mean it's like an OJ thing. I mean he but he was convicted Like he was like, yeah. But the funniest thing
You
is
didn't
like
get lucky.
I remember middle school, my father talking about Phil Spector, how it was like, because I remember how like my father would talk about Phil Spector, and he wouldn't tell me what he did, but he would like say that he's a strange guy. When I was like a young kid, like, well, I forget exactly what he said, but I remember it was like an off vibe about him. And then that was the same with like my teacher, like Miss Uffman and on stuff middle school. She would say that too. And like she's like, oh, Phil Spector. And I thought it was just that he was just known to have like, crazy personality and all that stuff. Because I saw some videos about him that he had a kind of crazy personality where he would bring like a gun and shoot if nobody was listening and all that stuff. He would like fire up a gun. But like I didn't know until like 2015 that he technically murdered somebody. And it was like this was in 2003 when this happened. But the
what a good year.
I know, right? Yeah.
The year of me.
Yeah, he was born in 2003. So, but the funniest thing was that, like, what I found funny of it was that, like,
that he killed a guy.
Well, no. But like, of the jokes that people made of it, like, even like with Mick Jagger, because then like I remember watching this thing with Mick Jagger on David Letterman, where it was like top 10 things like to know about rock and like, oh yeah, it was like top 10 things I've learned after 50 years of show business and all that. Because in 2012 it marked like 50 years since like the Rolling Stones started. So he had one line where it was never take relationship advice from Phil Spector.
Oh my god!
And then there was like another one of like what I've learned in my 50 years of rock and roll. And then they made a joke because that was when like moves like Jagger came out. He goes like, "You don't make a cent when somebody has a song called Moves Like Jagger."
Oh man!
And then there was another funny one that I loved where he did because there was so many like great lines that he had in that top 10 list. Like I love like one where he goes like don't say hi Seattle unless you're in Seattle. Like that was the funniest thing, yeah. Man. And then I think his number one was like saying like, being in rock and roll, what I've learned in 50 years is, at that time you have sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And what I realized later on, you still have sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, what a great man.
No, Mick Jagger, I think, is one of the best like showmen in rock too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
he's still fucks.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Just look at the guy. Have you seen it? There's a video of him on Twitter I saw recently.
Oh god.
I don't know exactly what it was for because I don't care about keeping up with the details of anything. But it was just a video of him like fucking just dancing.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. Well, because the Stones
and
are live.
I watched this video and I'm like, this guy's still fucking. I don't know who, I don't know where, but there's no way he's dry.
Well, the funny,
there's no way. Fucking king.
Well, he did apparently have a child like 3 years ago when he was 73.
That was definitely an accident.
Well, he's married or like not married, but he's with somebody who's like honestly like I think 30 now, but like when he met her, she was like 25 or something like that.
Well, yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, like I feel like that's weird because it's like you wonder if that's like a sugar daddy thing, but also too, girls would be like like there are girls who are younger who still love Mick Jagger and all that stuff.
I mean, it's
like,
Mick Jagger.
It's like it's Mick Jagger. It's like even though he's older, it's like he's fucking Mick Jagger.
It's like fucking the Midas touch.
Well, it's if you have a chance.
If you can fuck
well, I feel like it's touch, like this is what people thought of probably.
You fuck him and you turn to gold.
Well, I think maybe people think of it this way, even though they're young. If you have a chance to be with Mick Jagger, then be with Mick Jagger.
I'd fuck Mick Jagger probably. What? We're talking.
No, yeah. No, it's actually funny you say that. There was somebody who there was a guy who said that as a joke, saying I wouldn't kick Mick Jagger out of bed. I forget who said that. Well, it's funny because like the song like "Dancing in the Street" that he did with David Bowie in the 80s. It was like everybody talked because it was funny because my friend was talking to me about "Dancing in the Street" and I'm like, oh yeah, that like Martha Vandellis. I mean, a lot of people did that. Like I mean, Mick Jagger and David Bowie did that version. And he looks at me and gets me stares like, yeah, we don't talk about that one because that's like basically one of the cringiest videos if you've seen it. Like it's on it's on Watch Mojo's like cringiest videos of like music videos, like because they're just like dancing on stuff and they're just being very like. Somebody said apparently they did have a relationship, I don't know if that's true.
I want to be surprised. I feel like a lot of I don't know, so many famous people and rock people are just like at some point did
Yeah. Well, that's what they thought of like John. Well, yeah, because I think some
stuff.
people, because
Which is
I guess there
fine,
was
it's
some.
fine.
I think there was some
It's
reports
fine.
that Mick Jagger did like some bisexual stuff. I think. I don't know.
It's fine. It's
Yeah,
just,
I didn't know that. I mean, Mick Jagger, but the way I see him, I mean, he seems like a guy who's just like loves women. I mean, considering he's like, I think the rock star that has like slept with most women out there.
him.
Yeah. What do you mean?
He fucked the most women.
I think so. Well, there's Warren Beatty if you're talking about him.
Well, that's just a great. That's a guy. Like
Warren Beatty is an interesting guy, just because he's
an
just
actor,
an actor
he's
who
a
just ended
director.
up like sleeping with every famous woman out there, like musician, actress, like even I think he slept with Princess Margaret.
You know the movie Bulworth?
No.
It's directed by and starring Warren Beatty,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
about like this guy. His name is Bulworth. He's like a Democratic politician.
Yeah.
And his method, his PR method is he raps. He's a rapper. He's the rapping politician.
Oh my God.
And it's I don't even know if it's supposed to be cringe. Like I know it's supposed to be funny, but I watched clips of it and I'm like, God, you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
1996. What a terrible decade.
Well,
so much shit you could do. You can't do now.
The funniest thing about Warren Beatty is that, like, especially in the early '60s, I mean, he looks like a guy who was like a musician, but he was not like a singer at all. Like, he looks like a guy who could be like, who was like Bobby Vinton or like Bobby V at the time, Which, like, yeah, I mean, like, it's funny because, like, Bobby Vinton had a few hits. Like, I mean, like, he had, like, the songs like Blue Velvet and Mr. Lonely. Like, I love listening to that stuff. Like, She Wore Blue Velvet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I love, like, that early, because it's funny how you were talking about stuff that you listened to in high school. I mean, the stuff that I remember listening to was, when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the Beatles, of course.
Still,
we kind of established that. Yeah, still am. I was a fan of also Creedence Clearwater Revival and Grateful Dead because of my father and all that stuff. My father got me into most of his music and all that stuff. And I'm actually listening to a lot of, the stuff that he loves now, all that stuff. But another thing that was interesting was in middle school, that's like I kind of went back like a decade and started listening to people like Elvis, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, and I got into that kick for like a few years. And and it's like I was going on and off of listening to 50s stuff, like from like around 2011 to like 2014, well 2015 actually. And then like in 10th grade I started like not really exploring new music. However, I did listen to more of like I did listen to Simon and Garfunkel a little bit more, but nothing really new. Really, I was just listening to like 60s, 50s stuff. It wasn't really till like when I was like I started exploring more music when, like, for instance, people like when David Bowie died or when Prince died.
Oh, yeah.
I started listening to Prince more. I actually started listening
Prince
to
is
the
fucking awesome.
I actually, even though nobody died in U2, I started listening to them more too, And then in 12th grade, I became a huge Elton John fan. I knew Elton John before and I liked his music, but I never was like an Elton John fan. And then I realized by the end of 12th grade, it's like, oh God, I'm an Elton John fan. Like, because it's like I did posts about top 10 Elton John songs. Like my friends know I'm an Elton John fan. Like I know I like Elton John. It's like, oh yeah. So I guess I'm a big Elton John fan now.
See Rocket Man?
Yeah.
What did you think of Rocket Man?
It was good. There were definitely a lot of errors in time,
Oh, are you someone who, like, when you watch a biopic, you are very detailed?
Oh, yeah. It drives me crazy. I mean, I know it's a movie and all that stuff, but it drives me crazy when something's wrong. And it drives me crazy when it's wrong, when even the directors and the creators know it's wrong. For instance, like with Queen, with the Bohemian Rhapsody film. Have you seen that?
I only saw it once.
Okay.
I wasn't interested after.
Well, no, because when they talk about We Will Rock You, they say that song comes out in 1980. He has his mustache, and Freddie Mercury has his mustache. The song didn't come out in 1980. It came out in 1977. They knew that, the creators. They just felt it was better if they did it at that time to, like, move with the story. It's like, if you know the fact is incorrect, why do it? I mean, I get it, it's Hollywood, but it's like, find a way to make it entertaining by using it in the same year.
Yeah, I guess.
Or don't do it at all.
Yeah, well, I guess there is artistic license, but it's also a very stupid detail to change.
Yeah, well, it's another weird thing I noticed in Rocket Man that was completely like in the same way of like of song timeline. Like for instance, when he was doing like Don't Go Breaking My Heart, like with Kiki D, he has longer hair in that. And if you see that, and they did it like that music video. And if you see that music video, he's got short hair and all that stuff.
Those fuckers.
Yeah.
Those
No,
fuckers.
it looks like I think they're not clear on the year, but it looks like it came out in 19. It looks like when he's doing Don't Go Breaking My Heart, it takes place in 1972, and I'm like, the song didn't come out until 76. And it wasn't, and it wasn't recorded till 76 either. And that was like more at the end of his like first period of fame because he had like hits from, so it was like, he had like 5 number 1 albums on the charts from Honky Chateau that had Rocket Man on it.
Damn.
He had, then Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, which had Crocodile Rock and Daniel. Those were the singles on that. Then he had, of course, Goodbye Yellow Road. That was his biggest selling album. Caribou, that made number 1 too. Captain Fantastic.
You like Elton John, don't you?
Yeah. And then Rock of the Westies was the last one that was number 1. The one Blue Moves, it was like, it wasn't a failure. It was considered a failure because it didn't make number 1, but I think it did reach number 3, I think. Yet it was considered a failure, I think.
I feel like in terms of music, you get right along with my dad.
Really? Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, my dad, he like all these people, fucking Simon and Garfunkel. One of his favorite songs, and one of mine too, just because I associate it with my dad.
Yeah.
The Boxer.
Oh yeah.
He my dad for I don't know, it was like 2015. He lives in a lake house.
Yeah.
And I would go there like every weekend.
Interesting.
That summer, and he always like when he cooked, he always like played music.
Wow.
And every time the Boxer came on, he would sing along with it, and and I was in that song like to this day, it's still like it hits right here.
There are certain songs like
that song.
I remember like listening to like even though it didn't like I don't think I have a personal marriage to it. I mean I think it's like in a sense, well, I'll just say the song first, like the Eric Clapton song "Tears in Heaven." Have you ever heard that song?
Not really. I haven't really gotten into Eric Clapton.
It came out in the '90s, and it's actually a depressing story because his son was tragically killed. He fell by a window because it was in a New York City apartment, and he fell on the out the window apparently, and died that way. And like Eric. And like I think like right after, it wasn't that long, he wrote the song with somebody, and it was "Tears in Heaven," and it's such a beautiful melody, and it's like I think it's like I guess I can relate to it because it's like of course like I lost my grandfather and stuff, and I think it's like in some ways like when you lose somebody, like I feel like that like sort of relates to it, or when you're on the same element but not like fully on the same page, you can still relate to it. And I think that's what music does. Music is a language that's different for everybody. Like everybody can listen to the same song and love it. Like we might not all agree and all that stuff, and we might all have different issues and all that stuff with stuff. But when we listen to a song, we can at least agree on that it's great, or that we love it, or that it identifies us, or it helps. It helped shape what the country is. It
definitely it can bridge a gap between people.
Yeah, you see it in politics too. Like people who are like hardcore conservatives and all that stuff, like Chris Christie and like Rush Limbaugh. Like Rush Limbaugh's dead now, but he talked about how like he loved Creedence Clearwater. Oh God, I can't believe we're laughing at that. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, he died. People die.
Yeah,
happens.
Yeah.
But
he was a fan of Creedence Clearwater Revival, and he talked about how he knows that John Fogerty probably doesn't like him, but like he was saying that he thought that they shaped music a lot, and that's the same with like Chris Christie. Well, because did you hear that story? Like this is actually a funny story.
I don't think so.
Okay, so Chris Christie is a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, but Bruce Springsteen, of course, is a major Democrat and supported Obama.
He's a flib.
But he supported Obama, and like
does he have a podcast?
They did a podcast. He did not want to appear, I think, with Christie at all. Like, because Christie kept inviting him to stuff, and I think Obama, in order to make Christie happy, he called Bruce Springsteen up. He said, "I need you to do me a favor. I need you to play for Chris Christie."
Obama voice?
Yeah. No, I'm not. Like, I wasn't imitating Obama. I was not imitating Obama. It's like, Bruce, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to. Well, wait, no. Oh my God, that one more. Bruce. I need you to do me a favor, Miss Barack. I need you to play for Christie,
to be the
Governor of
president.
Jersey.
I used to be the president.
Yeah,
I need you to
anything
do
for
me a
you,
favor.
boss.
I need you to go see this guy. He's a big guy.
Well, Springsteen
Large
he talks
fella.
like this. Springsteen's an interesting guy. How he talks.
You think
he talks in music. You know.
you think he's a smoker?
No, it's not a smoker thing. You know, just being he is in the business and all that stuff. Elvis did a lot. that's my Springsteen imitation.
I only know what he sounds like when he sings.
But the funny thing about that was when the whole Springsteen hating Christie thing went around, Christie then changed the story and said that he actually loved Bon Jovi instead. Bon Jovi's another Democrat, but I don't know what Bon Jovi said about it or if Bon Jovi even got involved.
That's great.
But there was like an SNL joke that made a joke of Chris Christie like quoting Bon Jovi. He was like, "I'm a cowboy in a steel horse I ride, Bon Jovi forever."
Oh God, that's all right. That song gives
Yeah.
even parodies of that song gives me brain. It gives me trauma.
Yeah.
Because in 11th grade, right before COVID hit, I was in. Fun fact: I did theater.
Okay.
I know it's terrible, awful. Fucking 10 years of my life did theater with theater people, a bunch of weirdos, and then I did it in high school.
Sorry, theater people.
I'm not. We did, and look, I'm not trying to diss the theater. I like a lot of the theater, especially Sondheim. I love Sondheim.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was just on Stephen Colbert. You see how he looks, for 90.
Yeah. He's a genius.
Yeah.
That's what you
And
get.
he's still working too.
That's what you get for being a fucking brilliant writer.
Yeah.
He's definitely my favorite, writer for musicals.
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite musical.
My mom was. I've never seen Sweeney Todd.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
I'm not gonna sing it. That'll be awful for everyone.
I love West Side Story though. And that was like his first big one.
I still haven't seen West Side
But
Story.
he considers it not his favorite one.
I gotta watch West Side Story this year just because Spielberg's got his version coming
he
out.
doesn't consider West Side Story his favorite because I think there was a few things. I think it was one, he was a lyricist. He wasn't he didn't write the music. That was I think was it Leonard Bernard who wrote the music?
I know he was.
Bernstein?
Yeah.
I think that's who it was. I think that's his name. But no. So he didn't because he was for instance, the song "I Feel Pretty." He that's not in the new Broadway because there was a new Broadway play of West Side Story that wasn't in that play because he didn't like it because he thought he was trying too hard to rhyme because he said at that time I wanted to rhyme as much as I can, and he was just saying certain stuff because there's a line in the song it's alarming and charming, and he just I just don't feel like anybody would say that, and of course an interesting thing is in the songs too, for instance the beginning song When You're a Jet, they say the last bugging game and we'll beat the whole bugging game, and then that's the same with Officer Krupke, Krupp you. They wanted to actually, of course, say the F word, but they knew that they weren't going to be able to get away with that. So that's how they got them. So that's how they used those words instead.
I should have just waited a few years.
Yeah, because I think it was
wait a few years to write your musical so you can say fuck.
Yeah, because I think there was
word.
probably certain things where they probably couldn't say that on Broadway or something like that. So they had to or it might have been I forget who exactly. But Sondheim definitely is great, and of course, he learned from Oscar, Rogers and Hammerstein. Well, I think who was his name? It was Hammerstein, I think, right? Yeah,
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, well, it was one of them. I know that. I think it was Oscar.
I mean, you know more than anything I've ever known in my life. You're like a encyclopedia, man.
It's weird. I know people's birthday. It's musicians' birthday. It's strange because I remember there was a time when I was a kid. I was look up stuff about the celebrity, but they were born this year, and it's oh geez, and it's when I see somebody on TV, it's I basically know their birthday. It's sad.
That's not sad.
It's so sad.
It's like a party trick. You just pull it out.
Yeah, it definitely is a party trick. For instance, just name a celebrity. I'll see if I can do it.
Name a celebrity or just any famous.
Yeah,
person.
just any famous person.
Paul McCartney.
1942.
19. George Harrison.
1943.
All right, let me go outside the Beatles now.
Okay.
How about talked about him earlier, Eric Clapton.
45.
Oh, you sound so confident. Kurt Cobain.
67.
God. Let's see. What else? Gene Simmons.
I think 46.
I feel like there's no way you're not wrong because the answers.
I think it's 46. I could be wrong on that. That one I could be wrong, but yeah.
All right.
I'm actually curious.
You're gonna check.
Yeah.
I had a random thought, and this is gonna be a total digression.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring this up.
Yeah, sure.
Earlier you were talking about Buddy Holly, right?
Oh no, I was wrong. It was 49. Okay.
Ah, you got some.
Yeah.
You got something wrong.
Yeah.
I can do something similar. I'll get to that in a minute, but
Okay.
I want to share this thought. So Buddy Holly, right? We were talking about him earlier.
We were talking about Buddy Holly.
Briefly.
Oh yeah. I said I love Elvis Buddy Holly.
I was gonna make this comment earlier.
Yeah, sure.
But we got lost in the sauce. Obviously, we know he's a very influential for the rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
But was it him? Richie Valens and the Big Bopper.
Yeah.
Who died in that plane crash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And people called it the day the music died.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a bit dramatic?
Yeah, it is because
you really think the Big Bopper's death?
Yeah,
is that much of a
okay? The way I see that plane crash was because
much of a thorn in the side of rock and roll.
Big Bopper and Richie Valens. Richie Valens is not. Big Bopper was a one-hit wonder, but it's by default because he died. We don't know what he.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I fucking love Chantilly.
Oh yeah, Chantilly Lace is a great song.
I laugh.
It's like I say one-hit wonder by default because of course he died. So, but like for instance, like somebody like no, like with Richie Valens. Okay, so he had a few hits. He had La Bamba, Come On, Let's Go, Donna. Donna and La Bamba were on the same single and all that stuff. But anyway, the thing about him that's interesting is like that, like with both of them, it's like they weren't so big as the rock. I wouldn't consider them rock and roll pioneers. They're great, don't get me wrong. But I consider them more of like because they came out in '58 and that was more in the late '50s music when like that was like the second wave of rock or like in a sense the first wave I would say would be like Elvis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Bill Haley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was the only one on that plane that was like the pioneer.
Every name that you just mentioned, is much better than Richie Valens.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, like,
and the Big Bopper.
But yeah, I mean, like Richie Valens had, I think,
Valens.
Well, I liked some of his stuff that he did, but like, it's hard to say. But in a sense, he was, I guess, a teen idol because he was a teenager. He's not considered a teenager.
Yeah, I guess it sucks that he died young.
Yeah, he was 17. Yeah. Yeah, it's sad.
I didn't know the guy.
Yeah, no, it was sad that he was 17, but I think the thing too, it's like it's interesting because like for instance, like a musician like Ricky Nelson, everybody like praises him, and this is the thing that always like I found weird. In the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the people that were inducted, it was Elvis, Buddy Holly, like all the people I mentioned except Bill Haley. The other people that were mentioned were the Ellie brothers. Unfortunately, Don Everly died a month or two ago. Rest in peace. James Brown, I think, was also inducted that year. Sam Cooke. Great choices. Fats Domino too.
There we go.
But Bill Haley was not inducted in that first year, and it's kind of funny because Bill Haley is considered the first rock and roll act. In a sense, yet he wasn't inducted in '86. He was inducted in '87. But the thing I find weird is, and don't get me wrong, I love Ricky Nelson's music from the late '50s, but Ricky Nelson was inducted the same year as Bill Haley, and I kind of feel weird that Ricky Nelson was in the second year of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's like he was more of like pop-ish music. Like, I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I would just assume put him in years later, But I think what it could have been too was because he did die he 2 years before, like only a year before it happened. So it's possible they were doing it for that reason in a sense because his death was still probably popular and all that stuff and still like because it was very tragic because he died in a plane crash. All
them fucking plane crashes.
Yeah. Well, I think it was I think what happened was it was like, well, apparently he was like broke at the time. He was going on stage because he needed to make the money.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And I think he was big into drugs at that point. And I think the drugs that he was doing caught the plane on fire and all that stuff. And that's how I think the plane crashed.
It's not fire.
No. Yeah. But no, but yeah, no, but it's interesting in that sense that he was inducted the second year. Like, listen, I love everything else in the music, but I just don't see him as like that. I mean, like, because you got Bill Haley that was inducted that year, like BB King, Bo Diddley. Like, yeah, like why put that? And like they also inducted Otis Redding and Aretha Franklin, which I don't have a problem with because they're great musicians, and I'm glad they should have got inducted soon. But I'm surprised that they got inducted that year as well, considering that like I thought the second year would still be just praising the ones that didn't make it in '86, like the '50s artists. Because then 1988, the Beatles made it, Bob Dylan made it, and then all that stuff. And then I think in '89 the Stones made it. I think.
Sorry.
No.
Do you want to? You said BB King.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You want to hear it?
Oh gosh.
You want to hear it?
Is it offensive?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, if it's not offensive, then we'll do it. But if it's offensive, I don't want to on the channel.
I'll tell you. You know what? I'll tell you after this live stream.
Oh God.
It's sexually charged.
Oh no.
It's sexually.
I'm dying to hear it, but if you think it's too offensive, it's not racially offensive.
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
It's sexual.
All right, fine. Say it.
All right.
We're not kid friendly, so go ahead.
All right. So BB King, he's just kind of he's sitting in his living room, practicing.
Yeah.
His wife comes home.
Was this actually a true story or no?
I don't know. It's just something I heard on a podcast.
Okay.
His wife comes home and says, "BB, I got a surprise for you." And then he's like, "What is it? What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Want to see?" He's like, "All right, fine, whatever." And then she takes off her pants, turns around, bends over. She has BB tattooed on her ass cheeks, on both of them. And he looks at this and he says, "Who's Bob?" The fuck?
What were you saying?
That's it.
Who's Bob? Oh my God.
You get it?
No, I don't.
You don't get it?
Oh my God.
Do I have to explain?
No, oh Jesus.
Do I have to explain this joke?
I can't believe it. We'll explain it after.
No,
All right, fine.
I gotta explain it now.
Fine, go now.
All right. So BB on both the ass cheeks.
Yeah.
Who's Bob? The asshole
Oh God.
is the O.
Oh.
He was reading into it too much. He was taking it too literally.
Oh God. I can't. I can't with you. I can't. Why? Why?
I got that joke. I got that joke from Super Dave. Remember
What?
Super Dave?
No, I don't.
Oh, he was like this comedy guy, and he was on Norm.
Oh,
He was
okay.
on Norm's podcast, and
I thought the punchline was going to be like, "Give it to the king." That's what I thought.
Oh no! Oh no! It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Who's Bob? But he, Super Dave, famously, he went on Norm's podcast.
Yeah.
I don't remember what episode it was, but I think it was one of the early ones. And Super Dave, he talks like this, and he has this very, his voice is sucked in. And so Norm, he's probably my favorite comedian.
Right, you told me that. Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah. He's a huge fan of Norm Macdonald. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald.
Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. What a terrific talent. But so Norm Macdonald decided that the day Super Dave was on, he was gonna do all of his like objectionable material.
Oh my
He was gonna do all of like all of his joke cards, and like he was gonna do all of the ones that were just like very just off the wall and just crass, crass as hell.
Yeah.
And the whole time Super Dave was like, "Are you serious? Are you serious? Did you read that? Did you write that?" And then Norm's just like, "Oh, what? I didn't write this. What are you talking about?" And I'm not gonna say the jokes.
God.
But Super Dave's reaction is just some of the funniest.
No, that is funny.
Some of the funniest reactions to offensive shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Which is great because he can be offended by a Norm Macdonald joke and then make that stupid
Yeah,
Fucking
of course.
BB King joke
Of course.
with the asshole.
Well, that reminds me of a joke like with Buddy Holly. Like, I don't know if you ever saw Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall now.
Yeah, it came out in the late 80s. It had Dave Foley and I forget the other guy, but he's in a bunch of stuff. But he's the one that like. Oh, did you ever see the show as a kid, Cat Scratch?
No.
It was a show on Nickelodeon. It didn't last long, but it was a funny show. I forget the guy's name, but he appeared on a few stuff. He's like a comedic actor. Yeah, so he plays Buddy Holly in the song. And the funniest thing, that reminds me of another joke too. So where he goes into like where he goes like, you know who I am? You know who I am? I'm fucking Buddy Holly. He goes like, I'm the genius. I inspire anybody. Maybe somebody from Liverpool, England. And all that stuff. And then like the funniest thing is like when he gets the guys on the plane where he goes to Richie Valens, a Big Bopper. Richie Valens like, I don't know, buddy. I'm a little scared. And then like Richie yells at him, like, listen to me, you little like prima donna, you prick, and then goes like all that stuff. And I wrote Peggy Sue, goddammit. Don't you fucking ruin this for me. We're gonna get on the plane and you shut the hell up. And the funniest thing is like he gets his monkey and he goes like, the pilot's taking too long. You know what? I'm gonna let my monkey fly the plane. Hey Bobo, you wanna fly the plane? You wanna fly the plane? And then Big Bopper comes on and goes, all right. And then he goes like, oh Bopper, gee, you smell. Come on, you one-hit wonder, sing my song. That'll be the day.
I feel terrible now for shitting on Big Bopper.
The funniest thing now, yeah, I know, because that joke dominates it even more.
Oh yeah,
but there was
brutal.
a funny one too with Dave Foley and him where they're at a party and Dave Foley said, "I know it's a cliche, but Sgt. Pepper's is my favorite Beatles album of all time." He goes like, "The Beatles, I'm sorry, who are they?" He goes like, "You don't know who the Beatles are? I mean, they're the biggest band of all time." And he goes like, "Yeah, I don't know music that much. Because in the 60s, my father was very abusive. He put me in a basement. I was alone all the time. It was a hard time of being alone and all that." And then he just looks at it, and then he goes like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." He goes like, "Of course I heard the Beatles, you moron. Of the Beatles, you moron." Yeah.
I love misdirection like that.
It was so funny, like yeah. Because he just goes into it, he's like, "It was a long and painful experience."
God.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, I never saw the show. I just seen a few sketches from them, and all that. They didn't last long. I think they last like for maybe like 4 years. That's right. I get that too.
It's just grease.
Yeah,
it's all it's the Italian. It's all the Italian in my blood.
Well, it's funny. Another thing about Elvis too that because I feel like Elvis had a different I feel like Elvis's prime was like. I know we were talking about Elvis earlier.
Yeah, I was talking about how he died on the shit ton.
But that's what, and I was saying I hate
sandwich.
But I hate like how people always associate that with Elvis when Elvis was
me.
Yeah, I know, like you.
I'm kidding.
Well, you're a Gen Z person, so it's not. I'm
surprised. Kidding. I love to joke about the funny ways in which people.
But anyway. So the funniest thing about Elvis was that I think his best music is actually from the 50s. People consider there's a few different types of Elvises. There's 50s Elvis. There's Las Vegas Elvis. In the 50s, he was the rock star. He was in the prime of his life. In the 60s, that's when he was doing those flaky movies and all that.
Oh
stuff.
Yeah, that was garbage.
Yeah, they were horrible. And in the 70s, that's when he was doing his Vegas and all that stuff. Yeah.
I like your adjective of choice.
Those
flaking.
Oh yeah. But the funniest thing is, I saw this thing on YouTube of his film Wild in the Country, and that was that came out in '61. I guess they filmed that in 1960 because he looks really young in it. I think he would have been 25 or something like that in that, but or about 25. But anyway, the woman that he's with in the film, the person who's his co-star, actually ended up playing his mother in a TV series that they did of him in 1990.
Interesting.
And also another interesting fact is Kurt Russell played Elvis in the 1979.
Oh yeah, directed by John Carpenter.
Yeah, God, have you seen that topic?
No, but I'm a big John.
Oh, I love it. And you know what? You can't get it on any streaming service. You have to have it on DVD.
I wonder if I can just find it on eBay.
What, as a streaming service?
Or just find.
Well, you can order it on Amazon. I ordered 2 DVDs from it because my first one skipped, so I had to get a second one to watch it.
Yeah, because I love John Carpenter.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I know that.
Well, no, John Carpenter's a good director, and he has a few people in that film that were in, for instance, the one who plays Sam Phillips is the guy who's the sheriff in Halloween.
Not yes, yeah, Sheriff Brackett. I think.
Yeah. No, an interesting thing though too, like with that is because Kurt Russell was Elvis, his father, Kurt Russell's father, played Elvis's father in that film. And the mother was Shelley Winters, who was like a big actress in the 50s and all that. I don't know that much that Shelley Winters was into, like that was in, like, but like I know that she was a big actress at the time and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But she plays the mother and all that stuff. And I forget if there's any. Oh yeah, the other guy who was a big actor at the time too, Pat Hingle plays Colonel Tom Parker. Colonel Tom Parker's barely in the film, and they like kind of like like show that he wasn't like in that film. They don't go with that he's a shady person. They make it seem like he was a decent guy, but they only did that because Colonel Tom Parker was still alive and all that stuff, and he would like because Colonel Tom Parker was a shrewd businessman too.
Mhm.
I mean, he honestly, I kind of kept Elvis in his contract. Like, Elvis, like, in the end of his life, like in the end of his last few years, he wanted to like leave. He didn't want him to still be there.
What's your favorite Elvis song?
God, it's hard. I mean, that's like picking a favorite child. Jesus, that's like oh my god. I don't know. Hound. Anything he did from the 50s was great. I love like Hound Dog, of course. Don't Be Cruel. Well, Heartbreak Hotel was great because it was his first big one. But I like listening to like the obscure stuff from the 50s that not a lot of people know because that's not played as much or respected as much in a sense. Like songs like
You're the real Elvis.
like You're So
fan.
Square, Baby I Don't Care, or Treat Me Nice, or stuff like that, Or I like his stuff that he did on the Dorsey Brothers stage show. And what was cool about it was that's how I got into Elvis. Like, I watched it on my iPod when I was like 10 years ago. And it was like, it was incredible seeing this like footage of Elvis. Like it was like one of the first it was the first TV appearance that he was on. And it was in 1956. And he did a few episodes of the Dorsey Brothers stage show. And he did Heartbreak Hotel on it, but he did a lot of like covers of other stuff. Like, well, he did Blue Suede Shoes, but he did Money Honey. And his version of Money Honey on Dorsey Brothers is great and all that stuff. And like I love that version. And that's like one of the few things you can find of the Dorsey Brothers stage show because like years ago it's like I think they like erased the footage on YouTube and you can't find it. They've been posting some stuff of it again. Like they've been posting some of his clips. Like for instance, I remember there was this one time where he does Heartbreak Hotel, and I pointed this out, and people were liking it because it turned out it was actually true. I didn't notice it until like honestly like a year ago, where he sings Heartbreak Hotel in like 20 in the 23-second mark. There's somebody who screams when he goes like to cry away there, and like the girl, and there's a girl scream, "Sing it, boy!" and like you hear, and I'm like, oh my god, she actually does say "Sing it, boy." Yeah, like, and the funniest thing too is there's a version of him doing Little Richard's Tutti Frutti on there, and that's another like cool knockout version that you gotta see. But the funniest is like he changes his voice tone, and Scotty Moore, like the guitarist, like looks like like surprised too, because it's like I always found that funny as a kid, and I commented that like about 2 years ago, and somebody pointed out, and you should see Scotty's reaction. I'm like, oh yeah, true, because I like and like she knows how to love me, yes indeed. But in the last chorus, he goes like Tutti Frutti. Oh, really? I got a girl named Daisy. And it goes like, she knows how to love me. Yes, indeed. Like, he just changes completely. And you see Scotty Moore just going, oh, and then he just goes with it, But it's funny, like, once he does it, you see Scotty Moore's reaction. Like he makes like this face in like the camera, which is like, almost like now would be considered a photo bomb,
Oh, man.
Yeah. But the funniest thing, too, is, no, I've always thought that was great. But one of the best Elvis performances, I think, is on the Milton Berle show. And we talked about Milton Berle the other day, and we're not going to talk about that.
Oh, I can't remember. So that's
good. That's good. That's good. You don't remember.
It's good that I
don't want to talk about that.
I have a terrible memory from.
But anyway, he was on the Milton Berle show, and he performed Hound Dog, and this was actually kind of improvised from Elvis, and the band did not know he was going to do this. So this was, I think, even before they recorded it. As a single and all that stuff, and because they did in May '56, it wasn't recorded until July. And the thing that's so interesting about it is that like once it ends, like you think it's like you ain't no friend of mine, and then like it and like with the little drum, so like with the little drum thing, and then like he goes again and he does it in the slow thing, like you ain't nothing but, and then like the band just like goes along with it, and then they do it in a slow version, and he's just like like jiving his like hips and all that stuff, and just like really like shaking it and all that stuff, and it's one of the coolest things to see, it's just and like you see like the girls like freaking out and all that stuff. And of course, I mean, but we know how Elvis really got his moves, though. It's from Forrest Gump. Remember that? Like he sees it. It's like when I saw that, because like when I saw that was in Forrest Gump, I'm like, no, just no.
I still have not seen that.
But don't insult Elvis. I mean, like I know
still have not
get
seen
him,
that
get him to
Best
think that
Picture
he's
winning film.
get him to think that. I mean, yeah, get Forrest Gump to be like a world hero, but don't have him say. But don't make a fictional statement that Elvis got his moves from Forrest Gump's legs.
I mean, people know. I mean, when you're people watching Forrest
But I just
Gump,
think that's offensive to like, in a sense, like, well, not like, well, just like kind of like offensive to like people who like actually have disabilities with their legs, in a sense too, in some sense. I feel like
probably I haven't watched it, so I don't.
Like, well, no, because he had like a disability with his legs or something like that, like his character, and I think that's offensive. But I think also too, it's offensive marketed to, like on Elvis's thing, that it's like, oh, Elvis was so because he didn't write his own songs, or it's like that, like that he even like ripped off people's like disability legs. Like I felt like that was just such a like that's what people are gonna say, like people like, oh, he ripped off even somebody's moves from Forrest Gump.
I don't.
That's like someone I would see say on TikTok.
I don't think, in my humble opinion, I don't think that's going to be many people's takeaway from Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's just
it's a blurb in the movie. Because I remember like when I watched
a movie about a make believe historical.
Well, I don't think I saw the whole film of Forrest Gump. I only saw I saw most of it. I saw like when he was like a high school student, but that was like that was the only part I saw of it. I didn't see like the childhood aspect of the film. I mean, it's an okay film. I mean, it's not my favorite. I mean, I think it's like I do think in some ways I don't get how it's considered like like a classic in some ways, but
It's a Best Picture winner.
I know it's a Best Picture thing. I mean, I know. So, I mean, in some ways, I think that's a little overrated.
Over Pulp Fiction.
I mean, it's what got. I mean, it's got
over Shawshank.
Yeah, I know. Shawshank and Pulp Fiction, like the best two movies that came out that same year. Like the best movies of all time.
At least of what was nominated, they're great.
Well, Shawshank Redemption has been considered like one of the best movies. I mean, some people rank it as like number 2 or number 1.
I do think it's still pretty great.
I didn't watch it until this year, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is a fucking great movie!" Like,
it's very performance driven.
Yeah. Like I mean,
Roger Deakins did the cinematography too,
okay.
And he's only gotten better with age.
Oh, and you want to know something interesting? Okay, well. I told you that like Mr. Kratz plays the guard, the really mean guard.
Yeah.
But the warden, it's funny because there was a parody movie that came out in the 90s called Elvis Meets Nixon, like parodying the time Elvis met Nixon in 1970, and the actor of the warden plays Nixon in the film.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I didn't even know that though, like because when I saw like what else the actor of the warden did, I was like, he played Nixon because he looks so different in that too. Like he doesn't even look like the same person. Like that looks like, and then I'm like, oh my god. That's actually a really funny movie because there's like this scene where Nixon's in the White House and like there's people chanting and all this stuff, and he goes like what are they singing? I think they're singing Chicago from the group Crosby, Stills and Nash. He goes like, Big Crosby joined a group, and then like because it's like a mockumentary style film, so they have like actual celebrities in it, and Graham Nash is in it, and then after like that scene, he goes like, Bing Crosby.
What's this movie?
Elvis Meets Nixon.
I've never heard of it.
It's the funniest. And you know what's actually kind of funny is that a lot of the stuff is actually accurate. It's just like spoofed off, like in some ways.
Oh, it's turned into farce.
Yeah. It's turned into a total. But like a lot of it was actually true. Actually, like what happened because in the story it's like he's mad at his wife and his father because they're telling him how much he's spending. Because he apparently had a big spending habit where he like spent a lot of money, and they told him to like that you got to be careful with that, and he just didn't want to hear it because apparently they talked about it all the time. They would tell him about it, so he just got so angry and just left like alone. Like, and this was the first time with like no security. I mean, the last time he apparently left alone was like when he was like 21 in 1956. Because there's a joke in that like where like Priscilla asked the father, she's like, Dad, when was the last time Elvis like went alone without the guys? He goes like, I think it was 1956 when he was 21. That was like, yeah. No, that was the funniest thing. No, so like in that, like, yeah, so it's like he goes out alone, and two scenes that were definitely like that were probably the ones that were the most fictional was the one with the donut shop scene and the record store scene. Because the donut shop scene is because he was known to bring guns and like have his guns on it, and he like kind of like puts everybody at gunpoint when go near him, and he goes, and the funniest thing, he's like, how much for the donuts, man? And he goes like, that's okay, man, it's on the house. He goes like, you sure? I got his money. He's like, my treat. I'm like, oh, okay, Merry Christmas.
It sounds like a fucking great film.
And then there was another funny scene with the record store scene, which is funny because he's going like, hey, I don't see the new Elvis album. That's the way it is. And he goes like, oh, okay, if you want that, man, Elvis is in the back, in the oldies section. He's like, the oldies section? And then like he goes like, yeah, Pat Boone, Bobby Rydell,
Oh God,
baby. I know, he's comparing them to those artists.
Don't even talk about fucking Pat Boone.
I know. But the funniest thing though, it's like he goes like, look, I don't, and then the guy said, hey, listen, I don't know if you know who you're talking to. And he goes like, listen, I don't know anybody who buys Elvis records anymore. Do you? I mean, probably just a bunch of old rednecks. I was like, let me tell you something you don't want. And then the guy's like, no, Elvis, don't waste it. He's cool. And then there's the girl who goes like, you're Elvis Presley? I didn't think you were so old. And so, yeah. No, but it's such a funny thing because like in that scene too, they're talking. It's like, I can't believe the Beatles aren't getting back together, and he goes like, it's like what John said, man. The dream is over.
Bro, did you? Sorry, you said Pat Boone, and now
I know. Okay, we'll talk about that.
And now I can't like get his fucking face out of my mind.
Why? What about Pat Boone?
Do you know he made an album called In a Metal Mood? Have you heard of Pat Boone's In a Metal Mood?
Oh my God.
Okay,
so I've heard it where he covered Van Halen and heavy metal stuff.
Well, yeah, because like he did like what kind of music would you call his music from like the 50s?
Rip-off music. He ripped off a bunch of artists.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's like, listen, it was like in a different way. Like they wanted like. The point of Elvis was to be a white guy singing like a black artist and like singing black music, but sounding like like an African American artist, all that stuff. Pat Boone was supposed to be singing rock and roll music like African American music, but sounding like a white person. That's what they wanted with Pat Boone. And like so a lot of his stuff was a bunch of
it's like the
squeaky fruity and all that.
Squeaky clean.
That's the only thing that was his hits.
Like it's this like squeaky clean sound,
Yeah.
It's just like it's disgusting. And so he decides I'm going to make an album, in which I do covers of Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, Metallica.
Oh God!
He has his own version of Enter Sandman on that, and it's like white jazz.
I don't think I want to hear that.
It's like Pat Boone doing like a white jazz.
That's one thing
version of fucking.
That's
Enter
one
Sandman.
thing I don't think I need to ever hear in this lifetime.
Well, guess what? I've heard it, and it's
is it good?
It's altered my brain chemistry in the same way that like getting shot does.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna guess the way you're talking about, the way you brought up, that it's not good.
It's like it's sort of like
vaguely heard about it.
It's sort of like surviving a very terrible crash.
That's like what Paul Anka did with like that stuff too. He covered like Nirvana, like and the Eye of Tiger. He was in the 50s. He did stuff like Diana. He wrote My Way. Oh yeah, put your head on the shoulder. Yeah. He did that. And like Diana, like I'm so young, you're so old. This my friend, I've been told.
He did rock covers.
He did like 80s rock. He did like Eye of the Tiger. He did Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I'm like, no, just no. I'm like, I don't have anything against Paul Anka. I mean, he wrote My Way, the Frank Sinatra song. Like, which is
Oh, he
known as-
wrote that.
Yeah, and also too, not just
Okay.
that, but he wrote the Johnny Carson theme song on the Tonight Show, like the ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-da-da-da-da.
So he's capable of doing good.
Yeah. But he's just like, well, for that time,
That makes it
period.
worse, though.
And he wrote Tom Jones, She's a Lady too.
Yeah, but that makes it worse, though, that he is capable of doing good things, but just does shit, right?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
it's Pat Boone, it's like, okay, Pat Boone sucks.
Yeah, Pat
And you
Boone-
expect him to suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like, you know, like
That's exactly that's true. Pat Boone sucks and he's
he became like this evangelical, like racist.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, he is.
In his later, in like his
And,
later
he's
years, right?
yeah. They have him on Fox News. I mean, like, yeah. Like, oh, he talks about how Obama wasn't born in this country. Like, yeah. Oh,
He was born in Hawaii.
Yeah, he's born in Hawaii, and he talks about he's like he was born in Kenya. Somebody told me he was born in Kenya.
Yeah, I heard it from a guy.
Yeah, I love that. He's like, yeah, somebody from Kenya told me that he was born in that place.
Obama is not from here.
I'm sort of surprised in a sense though that Pat Boone was like that. Because
I don't
listen,
know, man.
I mean, I get it that he ripped off, but he talks about a time when he performed with Johnny Mathis in this like segregated area, and he talked about how it was like this racial harmony of people getting together. Yet, like
People can be flawed.
Yeah, I know that's the thing.
People can be hit or miss.
Yeah, well, I don't know like what if he had like a friendship with Little Richard or stuff like that, right? Like I know like Little Richard talked about how at first he was angry at Pat Boone, but then he thanked Pat Boone because of like for getting his music on the radio and all that stuff. Because he said like what people would do is like what teenagers would do is they would have like their Pat Boone, like they would have the record sleeve of like Pat Boone to show their parents that they were listening to that, but really they would have the Little Richard record.
Oh, okay.
They would have, they would really, yeah. No, it's like they would have it. Yeah, it's like
Jesus.
Yeah, it's like
They're not
it's
listening
like
to Pat
joking.
Boone.
It's like that's like the joking like with for instance like with that show Big Time Rush when they're like on the poster, but it's in the back of like another famous guy, and they're really so they're on the wall, but they're not like on the wall. But that's like that's sort of like that with Pat. That's what Pat Boone's known for, being on the walls with people, but not really being fans of Pat Boone. I don't see people. Well, there's a joke in Good Morning Vietnam. The Robin Williams film.
I know the line. I don't know that I haven't seen the movie, but I know the line.
Oh yeah, Good Morning Vietnam. But there's what? How I did it?
No, it's just he's dead now, and it makes me sad.
It is. No, that was one celebrity that made me so like, oh, that I was crushed at that.
Him and Norm definitely.
Yeah. Oh, with Robin Williams, well, I almost cried when Robin Williams died.
Oh, I cried when Norm died.
Yeah, right. You told me. Yeah. I mean, I liked Norm. I wasn't a huge fan, but I thought he was like. I was definitely sad that he died.
The past year of my life has been filled with Norm.
Huh. Yeah.
Just every day.
But what I was gonna say in the line in Good Morning Vietnam, he's like Robin Williams is talking to Forrest Whitaker, and like he's in like a depression kind of thing, and he goes like, I don't know, maybe I'll just listen to some Pat Boone records. I mean, the guy's a musical genius. And then like the funniest thing is like, no, he goes like, the guy's an underrated musical genius. And then like one guy says that to him, he said, hey, is he alright? He said, no, he's not all right, man. Like a man doesn't say Pat Boone's a genius and be all right.
Yeah, I don't know if the only people I can think of that would even like Pat Boone.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, my grandpa probably.
My grandpa liked Pat Boone, but my parent, but no, I
Fuck
think
Pat Boone.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like out of all the '50s artists, I respect all of them.
Down
And,
with
like,
Pat Boone.
But like Pat Boone, it's just like, oh come on, I mean, he didn't do anything original.
Pat Boone, more like Pat Boone.
Yeah, because like his hits were
Everyone
Tutti
dislikes
Frutti
that.
and Ain't That a Shame, and oh gee, who did Tutti Frutti? Little Richard. Oh gee, who did Ain't That a Shame? Fats Domino.
Oh yeah, Fats Domino.
Yeah, I know. He died around the same time my grandfather died. Like he died like a day after my grandfather died.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, and they were about the same age because my grandfather was 91 and he was like 2 years younger. So yeah, I think he was 90 or like he was 89 at the time. So yeah, when he died. But yeah, no, that was sad because I love Fats Domino. But like, you know what? The one thing I really hate is that these artists, the ones that have died, like Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, Little Richard, Don Everly, none of them have been getting praise from like the comedians or like stuff like or the ways that like 60s artists do or any other artist. You know, I mean, like when Charlie Watts died, there was so much coverage about that. But still, I feel like that they still like kind of like discredited him, I think, in a sense too, because he wasn't Mick Jagger or Keith Richards, I feel like, you know, in a sense too. They didn't give him as much coverage as they would to Jagger or Richards, you know?
Yeah,
You know, if it was Jagger or Richards, they'd be talking about that for days. You know, Charlie Watts, they only talked about that for like a day or two, really, in the news and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was
no,
the drummer, right?
yeah. I
Rolling
mean,
Stones.
I was sort of surprised, like that death kind of hit me, you know, in a sense. That death kind of hit me hard.
I mean,
when I heard that.
The only association I have with that death is my uncle, who's he's great. He's very funny. He texted me like either the day of or the day after he died, a screenshot of like the article saying he died, and he was like, "There's a spot open, bud.
Oh
Take your shot."
Oh my god!
Like trying to tell
so
me
funny.
to fucking go try out for the world.
Well, it's actually kind of funny though. Like actually, probably you wouldn't because Keith Richards had a post that said closed. Yeah, like right after these. Well, they did. Well, it's funny though. Like even though apparently before though they did announce that they were going to go on tour without him because he apparently was a little sick too. They didn't know how sick he was. They knew that he was a little ill and all that stuff. That's the same with Paul McCartney. Like he said, I knew he was ill. I didn't know he was that ill, and all that. And yeah, like it was basically a shock to all of them. Really, it was kind of a surprise in a sense. And yeah, he was 80, so you know, I mean. He wasn't a spring chicken, as my mom would always say. My mom says that all the time. She's been using that, and like, cause she was like, "What was he 80?" She's like, "He was not spring chicken." She's like, I mean, no, of course not, but you know. But it's like it's still a surprise, just because the only reason why it's a real surprise is just because he was with the group for the longest time. You know, like he was with them from like he besides Mick and Keith has been with the group the longest. Like he's been with the group since it's formed. You know. Stuff. And he's like the only member besides them that's been with them in the time because Brian Jones, of course, died in the late 60s. Bill Wyman left the group like over 30 years ago and all that stuff. So it was, so now it's just Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood. And I mean, they did say that they were gonna have a replacement drummer, and they did, and unfortunately, it's possible that this might be their last tour. I mean, they're getting up there. Man. I mean, they're getting up there. I mean, Keith Richards is like a 200-year-old man. I mean, have you seen him? It's just, I love. Don't get me wrong, I love Mick Jagger, but yeah, wrinkly. Well, yeah, but he's still like I saw them perform without Charlie Watts like a recent concert because they just started. I think they just started the tour because I think that was with him dancing. I think that was promoting the tour. I think and all that. It's one of the funniest videos. And I mean, even though he looks very wrinkly and all that stuff, he still sings pretty well. Oh, for sure. Like he still's got his voice. I mean, that's the same with like David Crosby. I'm just making petty complaints about his appearance. Yeah. Well, it's funny because David Crosby is like 2 years older than Mick Jagger. And he's still got his voice and all that stuff. Like, and David Crosby did a ton of drugs and all that stuff. I mean, like, of course, like Mick Jagger, Keith Richards. I mean, there's a joke that JT Curtis had because Brian Jones, like right before he died, was actually fired from the group that he formed, by the way. Like, he was the one that started the Stones. He was fired. Yeah, he was fired a few days before he died because he was just like he was not in it. He was so heavy in the drug use. He was missing performances. He was not playing at his best ability. And there's a scene where like Keith Richards is in the documentary talking about. He's like, we went over and we're like, hey, look, Cock, you're fired. And then like JT Curtis was like, that's right. Keith Richards fired someone over excessive drug use. And I think that's like, what? And then his friend is like, what? That's a fucking downer, isn't it? Well, because the funniest thing is too is there's a joke that Robbie Robertson from the band, because he partners with Martin Scorsese and has done a lot of music soundtracks with him. Like he's done basically every music soundtrack with Scorsese from Rage and Bull. So he did The Irishman. He's doing the new one that come out the soundtrack for that. Robbie Robertson.
His newest project.
Yeah, with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. But he did
So
he
excited.
did Wolves of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street, and he talks about how these guys, like Robbie Robertson was interviewed talking about how these guys just lived like a crazy life. He said they make Keith Richards look like he was a kindergarten teacher. Like it's funny. Yeah. That was like when I heard that comparison, I thought that was like the funniest comparison.
All this drug
Like
talk.
analogy.
All this drug talk is making me like want to try acid.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. It's just I'm 18.
If you want to do that, this is what I recommend. This is what I recommend. Before you do that, write a letter to Rolling Stone, ask for David Crosby, and he'll give you advice. Have you seen on Rolling Stone's site David Crosby gives people advice?
So I should ask him what to do.
He'll tell you. He knows all the drugs. He does. No, I've seen it. He's advised. Some people say, I want to take edibles. What is your take on that? And he advises that stuff because it's like, yeah.
Listen, I know all the drugs. I get everything.
He does.
Tell me.
He does. Well, no, it's funny because it's like
my computer.
The funniest thing about David Crosby being on Rolling Stone is because he's kind of like considered like one of the most hated guys in the music industry. Like, a lot of people don't like want to work with him because he's very difficult and just like a very like, nasty person at times, and all that stuff. Like he says himself, he has a reputation of being a lunatic, and he's damaged a lot of relationships. Like Neil Young, like this just shows you how bad it is. Like Neil Young says, if he because like. There's probably a chance. There's a slim chance that Crosby, Stills, and Nash Young will ever get back together. And Neil Young says, he wants to get back together. Like he should write a book saying how he wronged all his friends.
That's. Oof.
Yeah. Because apparently what happened with Neil Young was because he left his wife for so many years for Daryl Hannah, the actress in Splash. And he ended up marrying her, and David Crosby sort of criticized her and said she was after his money, and basically called her, the WH word,
What?
Yeah, he called her
a what?
Oh my God. I knew you were just gonna say it, or you were just gonna say something.
I'm kidding. I know which word you're talking about.
Yeah, but he called her that, and of course that ruined their relationship. Well, he was comparing her to the mermaid, to the film she did in Splash, where her character. Well, yeah, she's a mermaid. She's got she's a fish. Like he was just saying like that stuff. He was just saying a lot of like inappropriate, like crude, just distasteful stuff about her, and that got Neil Young to not talk to him and hate him.
I mean, I don't blame him. That's pretty shitty.
Yeah. Well, that's the same with Graham. Well, that's the same with Graham Nash. I forget exactly what it was, but I think Graham Nash and him just had a few personal differences. He said it was sort of because it's kind of funny because 5 or 6 years ago they were still playing together. They were still playing together in the early 2010s when they already hit their 70s or in their late 60s. So it's they haven't been it hasn't been even 10 years since they've last played together. It's only been 5 years. And so, but the funniest thing is that's the thing that's so funny. It's they're fighting they're 20-year-olds in the newspaper. They're fighting like they're kids, That's the thing that's so funny about it. Because then Graham Nash, no longer, because there was a CBS Sunday Morning interview talking about how it was 50 years since their big album Deja Vu. And the reporter asked Graham Nash if they still speak to each other. And he goes Steven, Neil, and I still speak to each other. We don't talk to David, and I didn't know that until I saw that, and that was that piece came out a few months ago, and David Crosby said that he didn't explain what his issues with Graham. I think it's a lot of petty stuff. Apparently, a lot of stuff in the past came up because there was a lot of David Crosby talked about how they all did a bunch of horrible stuff to each other and all this stuff. I mean, they were all they all had very egotistical and personalities that were tough to deal with. They talk about how Graham Nash has talked about how David Crosby and Stephen Stills were really would really clash, in music and all that stuff. When they were playing together, because Graham Nash said I had my own dark sides and stuff like that, but not compared to somebody like David and Stephen. He was saying that, because they were there's videos of them going at it, and there's a video of them fighting because Stephen Stills wanted them to go up on the roof to play their new stuff, and David Crosby didn't because the cops were around, and he didn't want them to bust because they had a bunch of weed and drugs there and all that stuff. Nice. And Stephen Stills was actually firing back with a song that David Crosby did on the album, Almost Cut My Hair, where there's a line saying, I'm not giving it an inch to fear. And like Steven Stills like yells at him, like, I'm not gonna cop out an inch to fear. And you walked out 2 days in a row, you effing hypocrite. You pissed me off.
Sounds like they had a healthy relationship.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. No, exactly.
Sound like a couple of buddies there.
And the funniest thing is in that little documentary, I don't know what documentary it is, but like Graham Nash and him are arguing, and they're like saying like, we said that we were gonna be here an hour ago. And it's like, so where's Steven? And then it just cut, and I don't know if this was in the same thing, but like the same day or like the same quick, but like it was clever editing, because then they have like a video of Steven Stills, and it says Steven Stills in his home studio and all that stuff. Like, you know, and all that stuff. So I found that funny. I mean, it could have been on different days, but the funniest is how they did it. So where's Steve? And then like you just like look in his home studio.
Man, you just. That's why if I ever form a band in my life, I need to make sure it's with people who I know that I can have a discourse with without us fucking ripping each other's heads off.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all these great bands, they just they never get along.
That was the band. Because the problems with that was that the other guys were like, didn't have issues. And Robbie Robertson comes, there was no issue that he had with Levon Helm, but Levon Helm, who was the drummer and the singer of the group, was mad at Robertson because he took all the songwriting credits of the group and didn't credit them at all when it was really a group effort. And some people say, and the argument is that Robbie Robertson did write the songs, and they just were helped arrange it and all that. And the arranger technically doesn't get credit on like a songwriting thing, but because Robbie Robertson always says these guys are his brothers and he loved them like brothers and all that stuff, people think it's a shitty thing to do as a friend, whereas as somebody who considers these guys close friends, if you're saying that,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he always kind of whenever he's asked about it, he always kind of brushes it off. Like, I don't have really any issues with Robbie Robertson. I mean, he might be an egotistical person. I mean, who knows and all that stuff. Like, he might be a really egotistical person. But
potential is there.
But he is an interesting guy who did write. It's not like he didn't do anything in the group. I mean, he just didn't give credit when it was due, and all that stuff. But he's still an interesting storyteller in a sense. Like I said, it's like he might be, full of shit at times, but it's just but that's what one of the members, 3 of them are dead. Levon, Rick Danko, and Richard Manuel, the guys who are the actual singers of the group. The only guys that are left are the guys who didn't sing and were just the musical guys and all that stuff. But but Rick Danko said before he died, I think a few years back, before he died, that I mean, Robbie of course had his egotistical stuff, but Levon was just at that too. And the funniest thing is I didn't think he had that much beef with him because he was still torn with Levon, and all that stuff because they were going as the band still without Robbie Robertson, because I think it was in the late '80s. I think it was the thing was. They say that Robbie Robertson was the one that walked away from the group because apparently they were doing all these heavy drugs and Robertson wasn't really doing that much of that. I think I don't think I'm not going to say he didn't do anything because I think he did admit he did some stuff and all stuff, but he didn't do as much as the other guys were doing. And he basically just left. His story was that because they're just not playing at their best and all that stuff. He's like, I can't do it. So he left them or something apparently, and apparently he thinks that Levon was holding a grudge towards that.
Should have just done the fucking drugs.
I don't know.
Why didn't you just do it?
Oh my god!
Everyone knows you write your best shit when you're just.
Well, Brian Wilson did write California Girls when he was on LSD.
That's the key. That is the key to great artistry.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote most of. I mean,
either doing
Pet Sounds when he was on LSD.
Either doing the drugs, or maybe not even necessarily doing it, but taking the influence from the drug users.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if you know this, but drugs are awesome. And
have you taken the drug?
Oh, I've never done that. I've never done crazy shit.
So what have you done?
That's it.
Oh, you have some marijuana?
Smoke, yeah.
I don't know. You just seem like a guy who who's talking a big game, but
look into my eyes.
You don't look like you're high, man.
I'm not, but these eyes have seen things that you wouldn't believe. But like,
You're telling me that I'm older.
Like,
I'm
obviously-
4 years older.
like obviously yes, Pet Sounds. There was Beatles. There were Beatles wrote stuff that was influenced by like psychedelics.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Wasn't a lot of the Sgt. Pepper stuff.
Well,
like,
yeah, it's
Lucy in the Sky with
sometimes.
Diamonds,
Well,
right?
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was not LSD. Everybody thinks that because it has like the initials of LSD. It's not. It was because his son, his friend, like or someone had it drawn, and it was like he said it was loose, and like well, he drew a painting, and John saw it. And it was a painting of his friend Lucy, and he called it Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and that's how the song came about. And it wasn't about LSD at all. No, even though like the radio stations banned it because they thought it was about LSD.
Well, even if it's not, I mean, it's still like just listening to it out of context. You have
Lucy in the
bizarre-
Sky because it's like when you're out
You have
something,
this-
you're like tripping and you're
just these bizarre sequencing and another. Have you seen 2001?
Oh,
Space
2001
Odyssey?
Space Odyssey? Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Stargate sequence. of
Yeah.
that is totally like I don't think Kubrick was into. I don't think he was into LSD, but he was definitely was aware of the culture.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because he was a
took
little bit
that-
older, so I don't know if he. I mean, I don't know.
and he took that influence. Definitely there was. It had at least subconscious.
Well, there's a great
influence.
Grateful Dead song that talks about, like their times when they were with the guy Ken Kesey and his acid test, which was the guy who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He did these acid test parties, and I forget who they're referring to. My father will know, so my father told me the story, but it's really cool lyrics of like Spanish lady follow me to this place. There was a bus stop in its place. The bus came by and I got on it. There was Captain Neil at the wheel taking me to a place of Neverland, and which is basically all about LSD in that sense, and it talking about like the stuff that was like the Ken Kesey stuff. And another Grateful Dead song I love that references drugs. Man, this is a little off topic, but like the song like with Casey Jones and all the stuff, like driving that train, high on cocaine. Well, it's funny because Warner Brothers talks about how they were, a group that they had no idea what to do with because they were not like professionals at all. They owed Warner Brothers a lot of money because of studio time, because they were the ones that were playing with this, like with the stuff, with the equipment and all the stuff. They didn't have any producers. They were doing it all that, and they were just like seeing like what they could do in the studio. Awesome. And a lot of their albums were not marketable really until Working Man's Dead, which had Casey Jones. And apparently the president of Warner Brothers talks about it, how it's like he got a phone call from Jerry, and he goes like, you gotta hear this. And he goes like, come down. And he goes like, and he was, because he was not a guy who was into rock. He was more of like a Frank Sinatra or Sammy Davis Jr. And that's like how he started out as president of producing these guys. He wasn't a rock guy, but he knew that kids were into this. And like he goes like and so Jerry called him, you gotta hear this, and he was just like saying like, and we heard it, and it's like driving that train high on cocaine. I mean, like we're like, okay, we can sell this. We're like, yeah, like, and no, it's definitely like one of their like Working Man's Dead and American Beauty are definitely their albums that have like more like singles and more marketable for commercial use in a sense. Like, because I mean, Working Man's Dead had Uncle John's Band, Casey Jones, which were big hits for the band. That was the same with American Beauty. They had Truckin' and Ripple, and all that stuff.
I know like
yeah,
I know like two Grateful Dead songs.
Oh, which ones?
Casey Jones.
Okay.
And then I don't want to get this title wrong. I think is it Estimated Profit?
Oh, that's funny. You don't know Truckin', but you know Estimated Profit.
Well, I know Estimate. One day, my cousin, who is he loves weed.
I feel like that's such like
part one, love weed. Part two, love Grateful Dead.
Yeah,
always interlinked.
Of course,
always.
That's like guys in my high school that were big weed guys, big Grateful Dead fans.
Yeah, and one day he was kind enough. I had an ex lived out, and he was like, "I'll drive you there."
Yeah,
and so I was like in the back of the car. I don't know. He was like, I don't know if he was vaping or if he was hitting dad. I truly don't know, but he was driving. and he was playing that song, and like it's like that time. It's in that weird time signature. I think it's in like 7. It's like
oh right, reaching on the burning shore, California. That one, right?
like it's like in some odd time signature, and I heard it. And I heard the bass line. I was like, this is grooving, and this that's like this like his speakers were very nice, and I was like, this has a very full sound. And I was like, who is this? And he was like, this is Grateful Dead. And I was like, what? I was like, I didn't know that.
They have another song that came out around the time called "Help on the Way," which is another great song that like kind of represents their like you know like their like it's a little bit more funky and all that stuff. But
I like
my
that.
dad tells me that like he says like the studio version does not compare to the live version is the best in '75 that they did, and like we were playing that like when my dad was taking me up here, like we were playing that stuff, and it was like, oh wow, this is this is something.
I think the thing that's daunting about getting into a lot of those old great artists like the Grateful Dead, or just any number of a lot of classic bands in general, is the amount of music that they made.
Yeah,
because artists now, it's just. I don't know, what it was, but just a lot of great people back then just made so many fucking albums.
Yeah,
and I get intimidated like when I look at the Grateful Dead and I look at their discography and I'm like, where do I start? Like there's too many,
of course,
and so that's why I have just a lot of the music that I have in my library and that I know. There's a lot of like classic artists that I'm familiar with, but I only know like 2 or 3 of their songs or maybe an album.
Right.
That's definitely something I wish was easier for me, or something I wish was different about me. Was because I love, obviously I love to listen to music and talk about it, but I only know what I know.
Of course.
And you have just this. You have this ocean. Fucking deep sea ocean of knowledge.
Oh, thanks.
It's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
It's very impressive.
Thanks. No, I mean I consider myself in a sense like a music historian. Stuff.
You're definitely a historian for sure.
That's why I need to do videos.
I'm a performer.
Yeah.
And I'm a listener.
Yeah.
And I that's my focus. It's just, and like I said, it's the thing that kind of that keeps you like just floating along.
We'll see, like the thing I've realized too is like when I listen to bands and all that stuff, like it's hard when I want to do something of a band that I don't know that much about, because then I gotta do more research about it and all that stuff. Because a lot of bands I know, or a lot of stuff like the Beatles, I don't have to do any research. Like I know like all these facts in my head. Like
you know front, back, top.
Like I can talk about
and
like
out all
if somebody told me, I want you to quiz me in an hour. Don't go anywhere. Don't use your phone. Tell me the history of the Beatles from the 1957, from like when they formed as the Quarrymen to when they broke up in 1970. And I could probably tell that story in that sense and like explain specific details of each year in a sense,
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy, but I feel like I could probably do that. It's like
Yeah, my friend Mike is also like, he has just this insane breadth of his history and musical knowledge. I don't. I'm like, I don't want to say I'm stupid.
No,
because I'm not.
I mean, you seem like you have like a good use of information for stuff, especially when it comes to film too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a guy,
yeah.
and I think I feel like me and you, like, even though we like a lot of the same stuff, we have pretty different tastes.
I think you're so in some sense.
Yeah, because you're into a lot, like you're very much
this, like the 70s, 60s.
You're into 60s,
and you like
70s,
stuff like the Chemical Romance,
like classic, and I like but I listen like Scott Walker. I don't want to sound like a pretentious asshole, but I do enjoy like experimentation.
Yeah,
and music that kind of may turn a lot of people off on first listen.
Yeah.
Especially like Scott Walker experimental stuff. There's this great electronic duo called Autecher.
Okay.
Autechere, I think is how you spell it. And they're all like they're the kind of electronica that I'm into, where it's more minimalist, and it's very textural.
Yeah.
Their early stuff is much more melodic, like
Yeah.
like their earlier albums. Like I can't. I had trouble remembering the names of their records because electronic artists they love coming up with these like weird like not
Right.
like they like naming their albums things that just aren't words,
Of course.
or just like making fucking words.
Well, yeah.
It's definitely it's a little annoying.
Yeah.
But their early stuff is like you can like definitely hear the pulse in there
Yeah.
more. You can hear a clearer beat pattern and clearer melodies, but the stuff that they released like kind of early, like late 90s, early 2000s, the beat sequencing started to get a little more chaotic, to the point where there's this one song off of, and again the titles are fucking, they're not words. It's like Syrupure or some shit. I can't,
Right.
but it's like 11 minutes long, and starts out, and it's there's like a very clear pulse. It's like you can, okay, it's like this is electronic. This is an electronic song. I can hear it. I can hear the melody, and I can hear but as it progresses throughout, it's 11 minutes.
Right.
It becomes much more abrasive, and the melody kind of starts to die out, and it just turns into this very glitched out, almost disorganized rhythm, where the beat is basically becoming just in real. It's like dying. It's basically, the song is basically dying and trying not to die in real time.
Right.
So like the last like 3 minutes is just like, to some people they might be like, well, this isn't music. This is just a guy fucking shitting on his laptop. But that's not how I see stuff like that. I don't think I enjoy, even if it's something that maybe doesn't sound pretty, or doesn't sound, or isn't necessarily conventionally enjoyable. I think if it achieves its goal, I can appreciate it. Like, I think one time at lunch, I played one song just like as a joke, because I knew like it's like this, the band Shoo Shoo, Girl with Basket of Fruit, it's a very it's a hellish album. It's a nightmare to listen to. And at lunch, I just played the opening track, like as a joke, because I knew that everyone at the lunch table would hear it and be like, "What the fuck is this?" And I think you even said, "This is bad." Like, Cam, this is bad.
I think you might have shared. I think like what those cringe things.
I think that's definitely a place where we differ.
Yeah, probably.
Where I'm more. Yeah. I'm a bit more open to music that doesn't maybe necessarily doesn't satisfy or doesn't make you feel good, like when you hear it in real time.
For me, I need catchy melodies and like catchy lyrics.
Oh, I like atonality.
And that's what I actually wanted you to explain to viewers what atonal music is, because I've heard about that from other people and all that stuff. I know like there's a band that I interviewed over like about 9 to 8 months ago that like do not like it, I think, or they said that, or they do. I forget exactly what they said about it. But
that they don't like it.
I forget. I feel like they were saying it was like because they were surprised. Well, it's funny because I think it's still like somewhat of a new genre in a sense, or a genre that not a lot of people are familiar with as much, because they were like, oh, what does he call it? And it's like, oh, atonal music and all that stuff.
I don't know if I necessarily call it a genre as much. I would just call it a style writing or just
And what is it?
a
What would you
mode.
say is it exactly?
And this is coming from someone who's not who's not the biggest theory genius. So don't quote me on this. This is just I'm trying.
Yeah.
So when you're listening to like tonal music,
Right.
or something that's harmonic, something that's melodic, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like the Beatles music or a lot of that rock. Like you can sense where the melody like starts. You can sense where that first like note on the scale is.
Right.
Where the tonic is. So like what's it? So like a Beatle, like I don't know, any Beatles song. I'll just think of off the top of my head. Come Together.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tonal music?
No, that's tonal.
Okay.
That's tonal music because
Okay.
you can hear the melody and you're like, oh, this.
Yeah.
I can hear where home is.
Okay.
Atonal. That's when you're getting into. That's when you're getting into styles of writing that and chord. That's when it's like. That's when you're starting to be like, wait, what is this music? Because I think you can. This is improv right here. I'm improv explaining.
Okay,
I'm improv
No,
explaining theory.
He's moving around, so I thought you were gonna like stand up and do some kind of.
No, I'm not. I would. I should have brought my drums. Should have brought my set.
Yeah, sure. You should. I don't know why we didn't think of that.
I'm trying to. I think the best example I can think of, like something that's atonal, is we go to like the mid 20th century, and like the kind of orchestral compositions that you're getting at that time, like Penderecki. Do you know Threnody?
No, I don't.
For the victims of Hiroshima?
No.
I don't know if it's public domain, so I'm not going to play it just in case. I don't want you to worry about that.
Yeah.
But that is
Just because YouTube's copyright system is so broken.
because that's like one of my favorite. It's a deranged opinion, but it's definitely one of my favorite pieces of music.
Yeah.
And it's this like 10-minute string piece. And it starts, and the strings are, each string section is kind of coming in at not very easily identifiable time marks.
Yeah.
And so it's like one by one, and like the very first chord already, there's just like ugly, fucking disgusting, hideous dissonance.
Wow.
And the entire piece, like I've listened to it like maybe once I do more theory classes, like maybe I'll be able to analyze it better. But I've listened to it like fucking 10 times, and I still like I can't understand like where the key is. All I hear is pain and just chaos within the strings. Fun fact: he didn't when Penderecki, I think when he wrote that piece, it didn't. Now it's commonly known as Threnody for the victims of Hiroshima.
Right.
But it wasn't that, he didn't have that title from the beginning. He wrote the music, and he had the idea of the feeling he wanted to create, which was like the song is just this very it's a terrifying song.
Yeah.
It's the embodiment of just complete distress and like it's just fear. It's fear, and it's hell, and it's insane. But he was like, I think when he finished writing it, the Hiroshima bomb, like it was still like it had just happened.
Oh, this is going way back.
Oh yeah, this piece is from like the
Oh wow.
mid late 50s.
Well, no,
And he-
mid 40s because that's when it happened.
or
like,
mid 40s,
during World War II, 45.
or I don't I think I don't know exactly when he wrote it, but it was that was like the closest thing he could. That was what he thought of to like dedicate the song to.
Yeah.
Like after he finished writing it, he was like, I don't know exactly what his reasoning was, but like it's funny because you listen to the song and like you're like, when he wrote this, he didn't have the Hiroshima bomb in mind.
Wow.
He was just trying to make a very disorienting and ugly piece of music.
Yeah.
But now it's just something that everyone associates with the bomb because he just prescribed a title to it. And it's not just like the way, the mood that it embodies. It doesn't necessarily have to just apply to the Hiroshima bomb.
Yeah.
Because it can accompany any sort of chaotic image or idea. I don't know what my favorite movie is, but it might be Children of Men. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't heard of it either.
Children of Men was great. If anyone decides to watch this, like, watch Children of Men. It's one of my. It didn't. I'm so pissed because it was like a $76 million budget and it only made $70 million at the box office. So it was a bomb financially, but it was a very big critical hit. Got nominated for best cinematography. It didn't win, which should have. And it's like a dystopian movie. Like it's a dystopian future where it's just like global war and fallout because no child has been born for the past like 20 years.
Right.
Because at some point, for ambiguous reasons, women became unable to give birth. They became infertile.
Right.
So that's like that's the source of distress in the film is global infertility, and that piece, the Penderecki piece, the Hiroshima, is used in the film during the climax. There's the two main characters. They're like they're like in this refugee town, and there's this brutal uprising that's taking place, and they're leaving.
Yeah.
They're going in the midst of gunfire, like all in the sound design, like everything is just dust and dilapidated architecture, and they're running away. And something the movie does a lot that's a great technique is the camera will leave the action of the characters temporarily to observe something in the periphery. So they leave, and then the camera leaves them, and this just lingering on this woman holding what I assume is her dead son.
Yeah.
Just like screaming to the sky in a different language, but it seems like it's like a cry to God or something.
Right.
And then like it lingers on that for like too long, like uncomfortably, like it's like a 10-second shot of just this woman crying over a dead child, and then it's a hard cut to the two main characters like going through a dark tunnel, and then the music kicks in. But,
oh wow!
You're like,
yeah.
I can't do it because there's like 700 notes happening at the same time. It's a so I guess best way I can describe atonal music is listen to Threnody for Victims of Hiroshima by Penderecki.
All right.
It's hard to listen to, but it's a good piece of music history.
Interesting, yeah. Huh. That definitely sounds interesting, Alex.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. I knew for a second you were gonna do something like comedic or something on film.
Oh no! I talked for a very long time.
It's cool. I like it.
About the Hiroshima song.
I like hearing that. I like hearing stories like that.
Well, yeah, that's the kind of music I like. Is shit that's ugly.
Yeah. Well, could you believe it? I mean, look at the time. We've been doing this for 2 hours.
Damn.
Oh my god, yeah.
Shit, it's 9.
2006 It's 9.
It's
Jesus,
9/17.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think I thought it was fucking 8.
I know, right? I mean, yeah, I guess really time flies when we're having fun. I
It
guess.
does.
Well, yeah. No, because it was like I did not think like it was because it was like with Trevor's that like it wasn't even an hour. Like sometimes we go like there are some that we've had for like 3 hours. We've done some. Well, we did one that was like 3.
It should have been like the Joe Rogan podcast where I brought some
Oh,
fucking
God.
where I brought a
Don't
weed where I brought
Don't
a
mention
weed.
Joe Rogan.
I love Joe Rogan.
Oh god.
He makes me want to take ivermectin.
Okay, now I know it's a joke.
I'm not vaccinated, by the way. I take ivermectin. I am. You're not allowed to be on campus unless you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
So I got Pfizer.
Yeah.
I believe
That's
in the
good.
vaccine.
That's good.
I'm woke.
Yeah. So if you get COVID, you can do what Joe Rogan did. Take ivermectin.
I'm gonna take ivermectin up the ass.
Did he actually say that?
No, he didn't say up the ass, but he did take.
Did he say up the anus or up the butt? Or
No,
what?
I just think it's funny to say up the ass.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that guy is just like I don't know. He's some kind of whacked out libertarian something.
Yeah, he's something like that.
But God, look.
The Joe Rogan podcast.
You can't get through life and enjoy life without admitting that he is pretty funny. That he can be.
Yeah.
Have you seen the?
Well, I mean,
There's
I
this-
know that he was actually a comedian before he got really political.
But yeah, that's true.
Because his show does not seem like it's a comedy show anymore. It seems like it's a politics show. I mean, I know
it's comedy and the accidental comedy that is mine.
I mean, like, I don't like because I feel like people are gonna think of me as a hypocrite because if I say like, oh, well, you watch Stephen Colbert and you like Trevor Noah, they're more political and all this stuff. I mean, but their shows are designed as comedy. Like when they tell news, like, because Joe Rogan, like, doesn't he report like news?
I don't know. He just his podcast is he literally there's no structure. He just talks about random shit.
Yeah, like he reports like actual stories. With Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert, they do that, but it's a bunch of punchlines and it's a bunch of like jokes, and that's all it is. Like, and it's like in some ways, I'm not saying no,
Yeah,
this
but
isn't
the
the right
joke-
word. It's misinformation, but it's like, and then he ended up doing this, but and then telling the joke there.
Yeah, but there's so many stuff from his pod. Like I don't. To be fair, I do not like the man.
Yeah.
I do not think he's a good man.
No, I don't
think
like
he's.
it either.
I think he's troubled.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff from his podcast that fucking like makes me scream laugh when I see it. There's this
Yeah.
I don't remember the context of this at all, but he was on the podcast and he was going on this like rant about like fucking chimpanzees and he were like I think he said something like if there were as many chimps as there were humans, we would have a serious fucking problem. And then he would
And was he yelling? Was he?
he was
angry?
he was yelling louder than me. Like and he was like
I gotta see this now.
he was like, I don't know what he said. He was saying like insane shit. He was saying like some shit like some Somalian babies that can run fast. That's what's gonna save us. Like I don't know. But he like goes on this rant about like how
Oh
fucking
my
dangerous
God.
like apes are, and he starts like doing an impression of one. He's like, oh, and he's like pounding his chest.
Oh my god, that's like when Alex Jones was like, I don't like a chemical that turns the freaking frogs. Get it?
Chemicals in the water.
I love that there was like a remix of that. It's not funny. Yeah.
Turn the freaking frogs down. Do you understand that? Turn the
There
freaking frogs down.
was speaking of that. Oh my god, we're getting so off topic here. There was one of like Fox, of like an 80s Fox song with like words. So there's this guy on YouTube who takes like words from movies. Like he did that with The Room, where he did it into like a Prince song. But the Fox one was so
yeah.
funny because he did it into like an 80s power song where like, and so it starts out with Sean Hannity like saying, "Oh, I want to work at Fox News, fake TV, American." Yeah, I gotta show you it. And then, but the funniest is in the song. It's like it's time to shut it down and let the tables lock her up. You simply can't comprehend the deepness of Donald Trump. Man, he's the president of the United States. He used to be respected, and it's like, "Karma's a bitch, Hillary. Expect to be arrested." I was like, "Oh my god, this is just like whoever put this together is so funny." And then in the best, and then it ends with like Shepard Smith is the guy who was the more neutral guy who actually would say the actual news, and like there would be stuff like saying like so they're like it starts with like clips of disinformation, like with the song saying like I forget exactly like our pandas craving Krillin sex and machines, and there's like no they're not, and it's like Hillary and then something about like Hillary like going like killing people, and it's like she did not. It's just like they edit that clip of like Shepard Smith going she did not. Like he did not, like showing that he was like the more neutral guy on it. He actually left Fox about a year ago because he couldn't do it anymore.
Fox, more like.
Oh my god! You want to know something weird about the owner of Fox?
What about the owner of Fox?
He has a connection with the Rolling Stones.
How?
Okay, Mick Jagger was married to this model named Cherry Hall in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Technically they didn't get divorced. They got annulled because even though they were together for a long time, it was considered an annulment because apparently the way they got married, I think it was like he was still technically married to his first wife, I think, at the time. But anyway, I forget exactly what it was.
Too many women.
Well, I don't know if it was that.
Wives.
No, it wasn't that. I forget exactly what it was. But anyway, I mean, she left him for adult because he committed so much adultery. But like, the funniest thing is she ended up marrying Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Fox.
Wow.
Which is a weird transition. We're going to major rock star to, old billionaire that needs Viagra when you get Fox.
Oh God, I was watching fucking Norm clips today again, and he was on it must have been the 90s because he was skinny and young.
Yeah,
but he was on like Dennis Miller's show. I don't know much about. I guess Dennis
Oh,
Miller's kind of trouble.
Oh yeah,
troubling.
he is.
Kind of a troubling figure now. But Norm was like talking about like Viagra, and he was talking about like fucking, and just in that classic Norm way, he was like. You got these fucking like old, like fucking 70-year-olds with hard cocks, and he's saying some shit like, Viagra, like this for impotent people, and it's supposed to give them like 4-hour erections, and like us normal guys, we can't last as long as the impotent guy. And he's like saying he's with Dennis Miller. It's him, Dennis Miller, and then David Spade just kind of like sitting there like this, like being awkward David Spade.
Oh my god!
And then he's like,
that's funny.
He's like, yeah, Dennis, like guys like you and me, like we're fucked, but then guys like Spade over here, he's going for like 4 hours, and like implying that he's impotent.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then Spade is sitting there fucking. Just like
I do remember like seeing because I heard like years ago like the reason why it seemed like Norm Macdonald got fired was because the OJ jokes and like Dennis Miller said on the show, it's like I think the reason really why you got fired was the OJ jokes. It was that, right? He was saying well it was that, and then
Lauren Michaels or
no, it wasn't Lauren Michaels.
It was someone.
It was no, I think it was the billionaire who owned NBC. Probably, I think it was that. I think he was friends with OJ.
Someone was friends with OJ.
It wasn't Lauren Michaels. Lauren Michaels, I think, was more chill, but I think he did let things he did listen to the network when needed. Like for instance, do you know like musician Elvis Costello? Like, did you hear that story? Oh yeah, Pump It Up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Radio, right? Like
yeah,
radio.
I haven't heard that song in like fucking 3 years, but I know.
Well, it's funny because I didn't really like listen to him until like really like this year. But the thing about it, you know that story then on SNL, right? Like how he went into radio. Well, see, he was doing one of his other songs, and then he was like, stop the music, and then they ended up playing Radio, which was a song that he was told from the record company and NBC not to do on the show, but he did it anyway, and people got so upset because I don't understand why it was so controversial. I think it was because of it was explaining how the radio industry and just like the industry is fucked in the sense of just like very snobbish or just that they don't it's just a very more of a generation, like a rebel song. I think that's what people had a problem with because I'm like, when you listen to lyrics, it's not so bad, it's like what's so controversial about it. But the thing though, is like Warren Michaels, because there were so many people that were so angry. So Warren Michaels was like came up with the agreement and said, okay, fine, Elvis Costello will never appear on SNL ever again. And that was it. I think he did appear though in 2003 because they made a joke of that performance and all that stuff of him being like. But that story, I felt like it didn't really like the story kind of like reemerged like a few years ago, because that's when I remember hearing about it from one of the people like the Watch Mojos or the Grunge or something like that. And then that's when like people I was watching like JT Curtis was talking about it. And JT Curtis, even though he's in his like he's like almost 40 now. He said like because he did the History Rock series, and they did for the 70s artists, they did like a one of like artists that they may have missed, and they talked about Elvis Costello, and he said, I just honestly found out about the story. He was saying, which I wish I knew if doing the History Rock would have been great to tell about the Elvis story, how he was not booed off stage, but how he was banned from the show because he did radio.
Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know. I hate when people just get like that, or like Norm with the OJ thing.
Yeah,
it's like
if you want to hear really like crazy stuff, is like when Bob Dylan, when he went from folk to electric, fans went crazy to the point where they were like, basically like booing him when he was with, and this was the band who, later became, the band of their own, but they were his backing band. They were Dylan's backing band at the time. And when they all performed together on they were just getting booed, like, and all that stuff. And
it's
it was
insane.
Yeah. And there's like this,
look where we are now with fucking like rock music.
Yeah, exactly. And there were people screaming at Dylan, being like, Judas. And there's a video of him being like, I don't believe you. And then like he just like goes into the music of like a Rolling Stones. He's like, you're a liar. And Dylan starts saying, and then the guys like start like, because he's playing it, and the guys slowly start to follow, and he whispers to them, he's like, play it fucking loud. And then and they go into like a Rolling Stone, and they just rock the place, but they're still getting booed. And like Robbie Robertson talked about it, when they performed with him, he was saying like, how is this how are we doing something wrong here? And Dylan's like, no, we're doing good. We're doing good. And Robert's saying, there's got to be somewhere doing wrong. We're getting booed every night. It's like, yeah. And they weren't. I mean, and Robertson realized that later on. It's like they weren't really doing anything wrong. Their music was good. They weren't doing anything. They didn't have to do anything different. And the funniest thing is they talked about, because when the band was already a big success, a few years later, they went back on the road with Dylan as a backing band, kind of with Dylan, which is like, well, just more as this time, like duet, collaborated more as equals at this point, because they were already a big group at that point. So they were no longer like backing band status in that sense. And they talk about when they went on tour, fans were screaming of love and joy and all that stuff, and like acting like it was always this way when it wasn't, But that's like an interesting story. I love to tell. I think I might have already told this on the series before, but it's always like I always like telling them with another guest and all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. And then what's fascinating is like people like screaming at a performer because there's some kind of because they're doing this. They're doing the electric thing. Or whatever.
Yeah.
What's amazing is, we're talking like mid 60s here.
Oh yeah, that was in the mid 60s.
So we're talking like this is mid 60s. It did not take. It only took like, I want to say like 15 years, maybe a little more, for electric instrumentation like in rock to reach like a very
exactly.
like a modern intensity.
Yeah.
Because you go to like, I mean, mid 60s, let's just go a few years later, let's go like 6-7 years later, Sabbath.
Yeah.
Deep Purple. You get Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, and obviously like now like we consider those bands a bit more on the reserve side of like the metal pioneers, but like that's insane. It only took like 5 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And then you go from there, you go 10 years later.
Yeah.
We're already getting like the early thrash metal scene.
Yeah.
With Metallica, Slayer is releasing early stuff in like 1982. That's like still like fast and like heavy to this day. Death metal goes as far back as the early 80s.
Yeah.
The band, one of the pioneering death metal bands, is literally just called Death. They're just called Death. Like you listen to their records that came out in the 80s and the early late 80s, and like you can you hear like that fast picking, and you hear that low tuning, and you hear the growl.
Yeah.
And it's like only 10 years before. Who would have thought? Like I think it's kind of insane how quickly music, kind of in particular rock music, just develops these. It changes so fast all the time, and then fucking now you get like you can just go on Spotify or Bandcamp and you can find like thousands of like tech death bands.
Yeah, no, it's doing
these like in just insane fast tempos and blast beats. And
yeah, no, I think it's crazy.
Literally, all it took like only took like 30 years to get there.
Yeah, I know, right? You know, it's like the funniest thing. It's like, you know, the craziest type of rock music at the time was something like Little Richard or Chuck Berry, and then like
it's like fucking Grandparents Here, Tutti Frutti, and they're like, the devil's in our house. The devil's in our fucking house right now.
Yeah. It'd be weird if grandparents were like that to Little Richard, considering that they grew up in that time.
I wish I could bring like a Cannibal Corpse album or like a Meshuggah album back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
Along with my headphone, along with these.
Yeah.
And just like put them over the head of some old lady on full volume.
You know what's gonna be sad though in a few years though, because you know now that we're in the you know, like the 20s now, the 2020s. It's more of like, it's sad that like the 1950s now are 70 years ago instead of 60, which means it's just like, damn, it's just like life is getting older. It's like this in the next few years, like 50s music is going to be considered 70 years old. And everybody's going to be like, oh, don't listen to that old stuff. Like, because I feel like people are going to be thrown off by listening to old stuff, you know, like, or going to think if it's old. I mean, you know, the funniest thing is like people I remember in the 70s would call 50s music oldies music. It's kind of funny. Like I remember like seeing that in the 80s and the 50s. They were talking about how they were oldies music back then, like when they were just 20 years old.
I mean, we consider 90s music classic.
Yeah, now people are considering it older now.
Yeah, this just got existential. Now we're talking about the
it's like now people are going to start
going
to start considering like the 2000s music. Like, well, you know what music I do want to start getting more into though is like, I don't know if you got into these groups like the Black Keys, Gorillaz, Daft Punk, White Stripes.
I'd say I love Gorillaz and Plastic Beach. That's a great album to check out. A lot of very great synth work on there. I never really. Are you just like the 2000s, like sort of alternative stuff?
Yeah, that stuff. Because I know like Jack White was big, you know.
His solo stuff is really good. I don't know if you've heard the song Lazaretto.
Oh no.
By Jack White. But
so he had some big hits as a solo artist too?
He has I think he has 3 solo albums.
Okay.
And it's pretty good. I like some of his solo stuff better than White Stripe stuff, to be honest.
Well, Meg White was not really a performer. Apparently, she was good and talented.
A lot of people are like, oh, she's bad, and it's like, no, she's doing it on purpose. Like her, the messy garage sound, like she's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like those people who are like, oh, it's bad, like they're dumb because they don't understand the context.
Yeah, but she wasn't I think he taught her music, because I think from what I heard, she did not know music at all. Really. It wasn't really until they met or something and they started. Well, that was the thing too, because they were a relationship and they were married, but they tried to get this rumor that they were brother and sister.
I thought they were.
No, I thought they were too until somebody said that they were not actually brother and sister.
Yeah, good thing they're not both.
Yeah, that'd be a little too. Yeah, they would call themselves the incest white stripes, or have an album called incest.
It's like a non-pun. It's just taking the white stripes and like, oh fuck, and just throwing incest. Just
I love how you explain
somewhere
basically what I just did.
I'm explaining. It's like
You just explained how like witty my joke was.
you just did like you did a Norm Macdonald anti-joke.
Really? I did Norm Macdonald. I did Norm Macdonald.
Is that your impression of me?
No, not at the moment. And I used to be such a good. I used to be good at impressions.
Let's see. I wonder if I can do an impression.
I could do Bill Clinton. I love this computer, man.
I did not have sex ever. Not with Hillary.
Oh God, I can't believe we got into this. I'm sorry. I entered in this.
Not my wife. I don't.
We should probably end this. You consider nobody's even watching this shit.
We've just been fucking.
I didn't even send it in the group chat.
We've just been talking about shit
people.
for.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Whoa.
No one's watching. I'm just.
Yeah.
I should have done the interview like this.
Oh God.
I look like fucking Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
It's alive. It's alive. You know.
You look like Kramer.
Oh, don't tell me.
What? Kramer's cool.
Not anymore.
Well, not now. Oh my God! Somebody. Okay, I have a funny joke. Somebody had a joke of him on this because I'm part of this Facebook group page of Seinfeld soup posting. It's called when it's just like this, just memes of Seinfeld stuff. And there's one of Kramer in that, like when he was like dressed like a pimp in an episode.
Oh Christ!
And then like it was like Kramer, the hip hop artist, and somebody said, "Well, we know he's familiar with one word in hip hop." Oh my God!
I don't even know why he did that. Like, what's the point?
Well, somebody said to me that like
it's career suicide.
Oh, it was career suicide. But a lot of people say that it just shows that he's not a stand-up comedian. Like he doesn't know, because the whole part of the game is that you're gonna get heckled and you just have to like deal with it. Like that, and you just make jokes out of it. Like he could have had so much material for that. Like it's kind of sad that he's like kind of hated now, because considering that like Michael Richards as Kramer is just so loved by people, it's just like loved by everybody in a sense, and it's kind of sad that he did that. I mean, he admitted that like he's not a racist and all that stuff, but like he's been silent. I mean, it did ruin his career because like he's barely been on some stuff. Like you barely see him in the spotlight. I mean, he's only around when like Seinfeld stuff comes up. He couldn't make it as. I mean, he and it looked like he like for a while it looked like he was gonna be pretty big, and stuff until that,
Have you seen? Oh my, it's awful. Have you seen when he like? I think he was on Letterman and like he went on there.
Oh, and the audience is like laughing. Why are they laughing? That's what I don't get.
It was just embarrassing, and then Jerry was like, "It's not funny."
Well, yeah.
It's not funny.
Weird that they're laughing. That was the thing I couldn't get. I don't know if you see something different, but I don't understand like why they were laughing in the first place. Because I'm like, that's not funny to begin with, even that. I don't understand that.
I mean, I don't know. He biffed it.
Yeah, I mean, I did not. Yeah, like that I did not understand when the audience laughing.
Like, I don't know about you, but if I was getting heckled, I wouldn't say racist stuff.
That's what Norm Macdonald did. As a joke after he said that.
No, I'm just talking to my Norm voice.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen Norm Macdonald handle a heckler?
No.
He does it great. There was this one like famous one where like he was like, and some guy was like in the audience saying like, "You're not funny anymore," and then everyone was like saying, "Shut up," and then Norm was like, "No, just let him talk," and he's like just talking to the guy.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he just like makes friends with him. Like he doesn't like try and like he doesn't.
That's so funny.
He didn't even like try and like talk down on him or like shit on him. He was just like trying to understand why like he was being heckled.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the guy was like, And the guy and so Norm was like, if you don't think I'm funny anymore, why'd you pay money to come to my comedy show? And he's like, you used to be funny. And he's like, well, I used to. I'm good. I'm glad. He was like, weekend update.
So he roasted him up. So he roasted him after he became friends with him.
No. So basically, like, so Norm's just talking to the guy, like, trying to understand, like, why are you heckling me? Like, why don't you like me or some shit. And the guy is just a terrible communicator. He says, YouTube morbid bits.
And so this was in the 2000s or like
in the 2000s.
Was it like 2010s?
I think so.
Okay.
And then Norm was like, YouTube morbid bits? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And the guy's like, the YouTube videos, the morbid bits. And so Norm, so you don't like when I do my morbid bits. You don't like when I talk about death or whatever. And then so he talks to him a little more, and then like they kind of come to an understanding, and then everyone's like cheering. And then when it dies down, he's like, okay, let's do some morbid bits. And then he does like a 15-minute like bit about like how he'd like kill himself or some shit.
God.
Cause so it's like he deals with the heckler, gets on his good side.
Yeah.
And then
that was funny.
And then he does the joke.
I heard this story how David Letterman dealt with one heckler, and it was a big heckler, and it was Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr. Oh,
this was like when David Letterman was still trying out, and Ringo was heckling him, and like David was saying like, "Well, I'm working up here, so I'm struggling here with my solo stuff, like you are with your solo career." So it's like, so let's just do that. Yeah.
Painful.
Yeah. That was like, I remember he did that, and everybody was so surprised he took a shot, and like, oh, he took a shot at a Beatle, because this was like in 70 or 71 or something like that. Like everybody, because everybody was just baffled. Like when a comedian, when a Beatle said something to you, you just like were like, oh yes,
Oh my
God. Like everybody was, because I think that was the thing that was so shocking about it, because Letterman was known to have like that prickly kind of attitude. I mean, Cher called him an asshole.
He's kind of a he could be.
Oh yeah.
He could be tough to please.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he can't totally.
Yeah. Norm, he liked Norm.
Well, Norm, I saw like imitated him on SNL. Like he played him when Alec Baldwin played De Niro.
Have you seen
that sketch? I didn't see the full sketch.
Have you ever seen the? It was one. I don't know if it was Letterman's last episode or if it was one of his last ones, but it was like 2015. Like
McDonald was like one of his last guests, right?
Yeah, he like did a whole stand-up bit, and like he was like, but like the last like 30 seconds, he like got like genuinely sincere, like with David Letterman, and like like most of the time, Norm, like when he's doing this comic persona, like you're not taking him seriously because he's acting like a dumb person that he's not. Because he's not dumb. He's actually he's like very literary and well read. But then he like, it's a very sweet thing. He like starts crying. He's like,
oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember when Letterman left. That was actually pretty sad.
He's like, I know. He has no truck for the sentimental, but it's not sentimental if it's true. And the truth is, I love you. But like he's like choking back tears, and he had cancer like at that time, like because he had cancer for a decade until he died,
and he did not reveal that.
He didn't tell anyone.
Well, it's funny because he was like, I remember watching the show, like I told you, like the middle and all that stuff, and he played the guy's brother in it, like the father's brother, and like it was, and like I always thought he was really funny in that. And the funniest thing is the actor Neil Flynn. Like I don't think they're related at all, but yet they have like various similarities and stuff like that in their behaviors and all that.
Yeah, it's just I know it's been a few like I don't know how many.
It's been like 2 or 3 weeks. I
still can't fucking get over it.
No, it's hard to believe. I think like what was it like? Was it after 9/11 or before 9/11?
I think it was after 9/11 because I remember on the day, like I was literally, I hate to say it, but
it was the 14th. Okay,
yeah. I hate to say it, but on 9/11, I was like watching his like he has a lot of
right.
He's got a lot of jokes for a lot of different subjects,
yeah.
And one of those subjects is 9/11, and I was like, okay, I gotta watch me some more jokes.
Oh my god!
And
oh right, I remember you. I was seeing someone.
I was sending
Because I only met, because the funny thing is we only met like a few weeks before like Norm Macdonald died, and like he was already like he was talking about how great Norm Macdonald was, and he thinks he's one of the best comedians and all that stuff. And it was so funny because it was just like that he was saying that, and then like I saw his report, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna be devastated. I'm like, I gotta talk to him.
I did cry for the ninth consecutive year. JetBlue airline has ranked #1 in customer satisfaction. You know who ranked least in customer satisfaction? 9/11 Airlines.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that joke.
What a terrible name for an airline. Reminds me of that tragedy.
Jesus.
And like I hadn't known you for that long, right?
Yeah, you did.
And I wanted you to get to know my way of life.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't even know, dick and 9/11 jokes. Is that, would you say that's a fair estimate?
Yeah, I guess so. But I knew you pretty well from that.
I'm more than I this is like one of the first times I've ever like been semi-serious.
I know this is the first time we've really been like semi-serious.
I've ever got genuinely serious. Because most of the time I'm just trying to make jokes.
Well, that's the same too. Like when we're with people, and all and stuff.
I feel like
we're trying. I think we're competing with like how crazy we both can be.
I feel like I have some sort of cosmic obligation to,
which I realize
amuse people,
which I
really be liked.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. I think I try to do it to seem very like out of the box and seem different, but I think at the same time I do realize I do want to hold it back a little when I'm with people, in a sense.
Oh yeah.
Like I think it's like I don't want to be like crazy, like screaming and all that stuff, which I don't think I do, and all that stuff.
I used to be very bad at controlling the more manic aspects of.
Yeah. Well, I had a problem when I did that with my friends. Like my friends and I were like very,
very rowdy.
Yeah. Like I remember when we were on a trip to Montauk, we were going back. We're like saying hi to everybody walking by, and in the car, we're like, "Hey, what's going on? Man?
What's happening?
How you doing?" And my friend said,
talk to me.
My friend at the time said he wanted to join us, but he was in this like trance, he was just like I don't know what the hell he was in. He was just wasn't sleeping or anything, but just wasn't saying anything, a word or anything. And we're all like just going like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" And he did tell us later that like he wished that we could be with him. Because we apologized for that. He's like, "You're not sorry. You guys were doing it the whole time." And then he says, "But I will admit, I wish I could have had the energy to do that with you guys."
I remember one time, this was I'm like just remembering this. I told you I used to do theater.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Unfortunately, and I don't remember what year it was, but community theater people, after they do a show, for whatever fucking reason, they like to go out to restaurants, and get food,
right?
Because theater kids, they need to be known. Like people need to know that they exist.
Yeah,
they need the validation, and it's like. I wish people would just get takeout and go back to someone's house. But it's like, no, I need people to know I do theater. So we were out at a restaurant, and I was especially rowdy this time, and it was like a pretty large group. I don't remember what I know. I know at some point I said some joke that my sister was like, "Cam, shut the fuck up. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Sorry, we're trying out. I'm with people. I'm rowdy."
Yeah.
But for no reason, and this is this is a restaurant, like there's people. I got up out of my seat and I ran out of the door. I ran out the restaurant. I ran out the door, and I just started running laps around the parking lot.
How old were you?
It was like I think I was 13 or 14.
Okay, all right.
And I was just running laps around the parking lot, and I was staring at my sister from the parking lot, just fucking just laughing. And she was I could see her from there, just being like, get the fuck back inside. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And that. I was younger, so I was a bit. I had my communication skills and my skills of reservation were definitely worse. I'm trying to. One of the this is a complete digression, but one of the hardest times that I ever laughed
Yeah.
was when I was super high. I was fucking. I want to say this was sophomore year of high school for me.
I can't believe you did weed in high school.
The first-
you just don't seem like a guy to do weed in high school.
And the first time I ever smoked weed, I was 14, but that was because I was hanging out with this one guy who was like older,
Okay.
and he.
How did you know him?
Was
he somebody from high school, or was he somebody?
He was from he was in high school and he was from the area. It was one day. It was like the summer of 2017, like before freshman year started, and he was just this random guy. Well, I knew who he was, but I never like knew him.
Yeah.
And he texted me on Facebook, and he was like, "Want to hang out?" And I know it's like weird to like do. It's like it's a weird thing to do. It's just some random person you don't know. But I like had no one to hang out with that summer, and so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna hang out with this guy because I don't know who else to hang out with, and I want to make friends." And so it was just a random. It was completely like random, like happenstance. But yeah, I was smoking weed with him, and I don't know where we did it. I think there's like this bike trail in my local town. It's a smaller place. It's a smaller town, and there was a bike trail. And we were just like walking on the bike trail, just like passing it off. The blunt, and I'm a lightweight. I think you can tell because I weigh like fucking 9 pounds.
Yeah.
So we got high on this bike trail. We went back to his house, and obviously our first instinct was we need food. We need food. We need food now. We need to eat. And he had this little tiny fucking toaster oven that was just like it was this tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And he had corn dogs, and he put the corn dogs in the toaster oven, and we're all like this, just staring at the toaster oven, just with like deer in the headlights, but we're just it's just because we're intoxicated hungry.
Yeah.
And so I'm staring at this toaster oven full of corn dogs because I'm starving, and someone's we got 2 people.
Oh no, he's back. Anthony's back.
Welcome back, Anthony. Talking about marijuana. So
we're gonna end soon. So
yeah, I do have to leave soon, but I'm gonna finish this marijuana. I'll finish this marijuana.
Well, not leave, but I have like stuff to do.
I'm sorry I've been taking too
No, this is fun. I'm enjoying.
I got this. So
this is taking my mind off stuff.
So we're marijuana smoking. Actually, we already did that. Am I high right now? I'm not high. I'm just incoherent because of my lack of sleep.
Okay.
And so I don't know. He's nice. I'm in where are we? I'm in your dorm, your little apartment thing.
Yeah. He's in my area. Nice. You're in your dorm room, man. Congrats.
I hope you're doing homework.
No, he doesn't hope you're doing that.
So he says something. This guy, I don't hang out with this guy anymore because I don't like him very much. But I don't know. He said something funny. I don't know what. I don't know what. I can't remember because I was, my brain was torched. So I laughed at what he said, but my laugh was it was a very ugly laugh that it was like it was like it was like throaty and like weird, and I didn't intend it. But that made him laugh, and he said some like meme shit like you just unlocked a new laugh. Like I've never heard that laugh before in my life. And no, wait a minute, I'm telling this wrong. I'm telling this completely wrong. I remember it now. So this okay. I need. Oh my god, I have to make some work.
He's doing like some theater now.
So
he doesn't like it. Actually, somebody just Snapchatted me saying that she's upset that she likes theater. She disagrees with you.
Well, I mean, I like it. I've done it.
Oh, now she's texting me back. Right now.
Is she on the stream right now?
Yeah, she's on the stream right now. She's like, oh my god, well.
So all right. So this is what's happening. He's telling his story. He's talking to me, and while the corn dogs are cooking, so imagine like you're telling me a story because this was like the position recreated. I'm like standing over,
Yeah.
and you're telling a story, and I'm like kind of listening to the story, but while he's telling the story, I'm doing this. I'm just walking very slowly in a circle with my head tilted up. And I do this for about like 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. And I'm doing it without even knowing I'm doing it. Like right now, I'm consciously doing this to set an example. But I promise you, I was so high, I did not know I was making this motion. And after doing that for about like 2.5 minutes, he says to me, dude, you've been spinning in a circle for like fucking 2 minutes. And that was what made me do the ugly laugh. Like that was what I was like, I used to just, I can't recreate it, but it was some like just disgusting laugh. And then he was like, you just unlocked a new laugh, bro. There's some bullshit. And not even that, like what he said wasn't even that funny. Like it was kind of funny, just that he made the observation. But for some reason, I thought it was fucking like, I don't even think it was what he said. Like I literally like he said that, and then I just like was standing there looking up, and then I just started laughing. And the laughing, it grew in intensity, and I just was laughing harder and harder for no reason until I could not stand anymore. I fell down on my back, and I was like, I was basically like in the fetal position, like on the ground, like fucking just tears streaming down my face, laughing. Probably higher than I've ever been in my life. And the sad thing is that's probably the hardest I've ever laughed at anything. And it wasn't, I didn't even laugh at a joke. I wasn't laughing at anything. I truly think the only reason I was laughing that hard is because my brain was fucking destroyed. I was spinning in a circle for 2 minutes.
Oh my god.
Without knowing I was spinning in a circle.
That's funny.
And basically the moral of the story is I need to go back. Like I need to recreate that feeling because it was peak.
It was a peak of, just feeling good.
Moral of this live stream is you gotta do drugs because they're
Oh no. I'm not gonna get canceled.
No. Okay, let's set some,
Actually, no, you're not gonna get canceled. Like sometimes weed does help with things like.
But
you gotta be careful with it.
Let's set
Not
some
all the time.
let's set some guidelines. Okay, we got weed. Caffeine's technically a drug. I'll throw that in there because in all the health classes you go to, they're like caffeine's a drug, but it's a legal drug. It's like shut the fuck up. Who cares if it's a drug? Everyone's got it. Everyone drinks it. It doesn't matter. If caffeine's a drug, and alcohol is a drug, and nicotine's a drug, and they're legal, why not fucking weed? Why? Give me the lot. Tell me. Use the logic. What's the argument?
I'm not even gonna answer that because I'm still in awe of this conversation.
Well, you can't. You gotta have an opinion
About what?
weed.
It's good for some people, if people want to do it, it's like, I mean, I will admit, like, for when I was a kid, I did not know, like, people really didn't tell me, like, what it was, because I knew it was illegal in New York. I thought it was bad. I really thought it was, like, this is something you should not do, but then...
Well, you shouldn't because it's a sin.
Well, no, I thought it was something that was, like, you really shouldn't do. Like, it kills your brain cells, or just, like, it really, like, rots your brain. Like,
honestly, it's probably rotted my brain a little bit.
But honestly, like, or it's just like it's really like
I'm fucking
because they call it, because they call it a drug. But like then I hear later on of people saying that, and like even like my parents saying like, and now that it's legal in New York, it's like it's no different than like beer and wine in a sense, Weed.
Did weed become legal like after the Cuomo stuff?
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. Cuomo made like
it's because
Cuomo to try to like put like it on good terms. See, I legalized marijuana for you. Please now, just let me stay as your governor.
He became a pervert. Well, in the public eye, he became. He already was a sex pervert, but in the public eye, he became a sex pervert. And then everyone was like, "Wow, Andrew Cuomo, you're a sex pervert, and you don't care about old people. What's your fucking problem?" And then he was like, "I don't have any problems because you guys like weed, right? And you're always talking about it. Well, how about I fucking make it okay?" And you know what? I have to respect such the incredible timing.
Yeah.
Just the
It
fucking
was actually
cinematic. It was cinema. Beautiful.
It was cinema.
Beautiful. Amazing. It's my favorite guy. The vaccine, I took it, and I like to hug everybody.
Yeah, I know. It was
That's how I talk to everybody. Young, old, black, white. Remember when he was doing that shit?
I know that was actually kind of funny.
It's,
Yeah.
it's one of the funniest moments probably in the history of politics.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of funny moments, but that'll be up there definitely for the.
That's
current.
up there. The video of Trump hearing the news that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
Yeah, she just died. And you know what's so weird?
She just died.
This is a music-related fact. Tiny Dancer was
playing. She just died. You're telling me now for the first time.
I know.
She led.
I'm hearing it for the first time.
An amazing life. Whether you agreed or disagreed, she was an amazing woman.
No, you know why he probably said it? The reason why he emphasized the first time, because he probably did say something that like the news reporter got of him saying that, oh good, now it's good for us, and he realized he had to like save his ass by saying that so that he could get it on first before the other thing.
Blue Jean baby.
I know that's the funny thing. And Elton John hates Trump too. Like Elton John, I think has sued him for playing his music.
It's a free country. Fuck it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, no, because like Trump is apparently an Elton John fan, and like wanted Elton John to play his inauguration. Elton John's like, I'm not playing for you, fucker. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, I love it. I love all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. I love. Do you have any other questions or inquiries about my musical journey?
Well, yeah, we'll do a little bit of the musical journey thing. Just stuff like, since it's 2:54 and we both got shit to do because we are college students that still got a itinerary tomorrow.
Oh fuck! I have to wake up at like fuck.
Yeah, I know. I gotta wake up early tomorrow too. And I still have like an agenda that I want to crack tonight.
I gotta read. Well, I gotta read everything all the fucking time now. But
yeah,
I got a couple readings to do tonight.
Yeah.
I gotta look over my philosophy stuff because there could be a quiz tomorrow, and I don't.
Yeah.
You never know. He likes to surprise. He likes to
I want to look over some from this economics project. I want to reach out to my roommate. I was actually like wanting to like go to the printer. I might go to the printer in the library just to get it.
I have to analyze
because I have to print out actual paper. You know, can you believe that?
I have to analyze Vivaldi's Four Seasons and like compare and contrast each movement, and I have to study for midterms that are in 2 weeks.
I shouldn't have asked him if like it's okay. I should have just seen if he would. Well, he might have caught me anyway.
College is
because I was
fun.
just an email. I don't know.
College is fun. I'm good.
Yeah, I know. We just started getting our problems in now, which is unprofessional. But you know what? That's how we roll. We roll off.
We're human beings. This is real life. Wow, fuck. What is it? This isn't a game. This isn't a game. This is real life. This may be what do we call it? Podcast, live stream, podcast,
live stream,
pod stream.
Okay, pod stream. We'll call it pod stream.
We should do a podcast.
Oh my god, we should. Jesus.
I'm
with Trevor too. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, but
this podcast that podcast would just be about nothing basically.
It would be like Come Town.
Oh yeah.
It would just
or Pajama Pants. Do you know Pajama Pants?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's the actors of The Sopranos, like the kids of The Sopranos, Jamie Lynn Sigler and Robert Eiler. They have a show where they do talk a little bit about The Sopranos, but what's more funny is like how they go off into completely different like tangents of stuff. They talk about the dirtiest stuff. Like Jamie Lynn Sigler is already like a mother to two, and like she's talking like they're talking about like people jacking off.
She horny?
Taking a shit. Like yeah.
She horny?
When talking about it?
Yeah.
Well, no, they just talk about it. It's the weirdest thing. They'll talk about like the strangest stuff, and it's like, oh my god, it's like it's dirty as hell.
I mean. To each their own, you know.
Yeah.
Just
Teach your children well.
to be able to talk about it so objectively and not,
No, like they talk about stuff that's just like
get psychologically into it.
the grossest stuff to
or
talk
whatever.
about, but it's so funny how they do it too. Like it's just like I was listening to it like when I was driving one time, and I just like found it really funny. Like,
But I hate to say it, but at some point in my life, I need to have a podcast. It's gotta happen.
Well, I have a podcast. I do a music one, so yeah.
I need a dumb podcast where I can just be dumb.
Yeah, that one I guess I'd be featured on that because I'm good at dumb stuff. But I guess since we'll probably hit the 3-hour mark.
Definitely if you want some wrap up questions.
So I'm just like, what do you want people who watch this? Oh my God, Jesus, that was funny.
For 2 hours, 57 minutes, 41 seconds, and counting.
And 2 people watch it. But like,
I think this podcast is longer than The Godfather. I heard this live stream.
Yeah. Michael's already made the Godfather baptism scene already happened.
The baptism, no.
Clemenza already says like, "Hello, Carlo."
Hello, Carlo. The Don already had a heart attack. Spoilers.
We're spoiling a lot.
Spoilers for the movie that everyone's fucking watched already.
That's atonal, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's in C. That's in C minor, I think, with some chromaticism.
Yeah. Okay. Listen. What do you want people to know about your music? I don't know why I laughed.
Like
just of like with what you want to do in the future with your music, or like where do you want to just go cover?
I'm not. There's a lot of tracks with my major I could take. Like I could take a performance track or a jazz track or a generalist track. I'm not sure yet, but what it basically, I want to, as a player, I want to improve with more polyrhythmic stuff. Like I want to get better at jazz playing.
Okay.
Because I mentioned a lot of like rock artists that I love, but the drummers that I think I have the most respect for are like the jazz drummers who can do like these very rapid like polyrhythmic movements. So like the best drummers, like I have personal favorites, but probably the objective best drummers are the ones who have great independence of motion.
Yeah.
Who can operate their right hand and their left hand and their right foot and their left foot like completely each on their own, So I want to get better in my independence. Me and my friend back home, who I mentioned earlier,
right.
The Wisdom Teeth Bandcamp. Just go to Bandcamp, type in Wisdom Teeth, Albany, New York. There's it should show up. When I'm home on break, I'm gonna work on stuff with him.
Okay,
so
cool.
That'll be
cool to check on for, and then definitely you'll be able to come back for that.
Yeah, so that'll be a thing, and then in the future, I guess I don't know. I'm gonna look for performance opportunities. I might, after taking a few more theory classes, I might start trying to write stuff. Basically, like being a music major and now I guess a film major, starting in spring, I'll probably be taking film classes too. I guess I don't really know what my goal is as a career yet, just because the art life is tough. But I want it to be my life somehow, right? Whether that be I'm making music, or maybe that's not realistic, and I end up teaching. Just any way I can keep it in my life.
Exactly. Yeah,
because I don't know what else I'm good at. I'm good at like 2 things, and so I just want to refine that craft.
Yeah, no, of course, totally. I get you. Well, I'm glad to have you on the show, Cameron. I think this is really a really cool thing. Really, this
was a great way to pass 3 hours, 1 minute, 36 seconds.
Yes, it was. It was. It helped a lot, I guess. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of what's the show called?
What?
What is the title of this?
Oh, question about the Magic. I love that. He's like, I'm a big fan of. Wait, what's your show called? Like, what's your show? I love that.
I feel like a fucking dick.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, yeah. No, it's like I'm a really big fan of his. Wait, what's your show?
What is this? What am I doing here?
Yeah, it's like, what am I doing? Like, what is life? Okay, now it's 3207 mark. 308. Okay, we better leave before it gets more. Or we're gonna end up dying.
Yeah. Now it's long.
Well, no, we're gonna end up dying on like camera. We're just gonna be bombing. We're just like we're running out of things. Like what? Do you know what to say? I don't know what to say. Okay, let's go to our guy who only commented in the stream. Let's go what he said. Oh, right, he's just my friend and my co-host who I argue with.
What do you think? Any thoughts?
I don't know.
Any prayers?
Any prayers for us?
Any thoughts and prayers?
Answer quick before we leave. Answer quick before we leave.
I'm gonna what? 10 more seconds?
10 more seconds.
10 more seconds.
We're giving you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, that's a wrap.
Strike one, man. All right, so thank you guys for this live, and we really appreciate it. And we'll be doing another interview soon.
Thank you for having me on, sir.
Sure thing. Cameron Paula. Oh my God, I screwed your last name.
So you got Polidore.
Cameron Polidore, musician, and we'll be doing collaborations with his friend. Yeah. Stay tuned for that.
For sure. See you.